Yo, what's up, everybody? It's CLT here for the Midwest Weekly of Rec League Week 6 coverage. Um, Pretty entertaining week going into the playoff race. I thought there was a lot of competitive games, but yeah, we're here to talk about this. For my co-host here with Nexus. Nexus, how you doing, my friend?
Good enough, CLT. It's been a long week as per usual this summer, but happy to be back on the show and give some thoughts.
hmm And something we haven't done in a while, I don't think we did it all Sweat League last split, is we have ourselves a guest here. Just showed up in the nick of time. Mr. Pens, the captain and
Yo, how's
support
it going?
of Caster Curse. So, Pens, why don't you introduce yourself, give us a little bit of history with the server, and how you feeling?
Sure, yeah. No, I've been kind of involved in the server here for, I don't know, like 4 years now. Basically, before there was the first rec league was my first season, and then made a rec league team for the one season, and then I've just kind of been in and out, play like a game or two for a team here or there, and that's about it. But then I'm back full time on support with Caster Curse now, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys definitely look like you play some fun League of Legends there. Yeah.
That's the idea.
So, but yeah, we'll have these two guys go over today's or not today's, but this past week's action here. Probably get their take on some bot lane stuff since we do have two support players here. And yeah, so starting it off, we're gonna go over Bop It, Twist It, Gank It versus Minimum Talent Esports. So Nexus, you want to start us off with kind of your thoughts here?
Sure. Yeah. So as per usual, I think it's no surprise Boppet's looking a lot stronger on paper going into this game, and they definitely delivered another quick 2-0 for them into MTE. Looking at, I've harped on MTE's drafts a lot in the past few weeks. This game one draft, I absolutely adored out of them. A Reaper looks like he's kind of shying away from those mage supports that I like to hate on and
Hmm.
going for a solid bot lane pairing in the Ash Braum. And then the rest of the map is just a good little pseudo dive comp with a Trundle into an Ornn being some Trundle top in this league. It's been pretty successful. And then Vi and Vex are just an easy to execute kind of ulti smash your face into the keyboard type comp. So I liked what I saw out of them, but Boppet was just able to get the upper hand on this one through mostly some incredible gameplay out of the mid lane and Christmas music.
Yeah, Christmas looks like he's finally starting to get his stride back to him. Maybe added a couple champions pools to there. You mentioned mage support. Since we got Pens here, I'm going to assume Pens you're not a big enjoyer of mage supports either.
I think that there is a place for them, which generally I don't think it's like great at a high level, with like maybe the exception of like a couple years ago when it was super all about like getting bot lane prio like in the early game. You might be able to find like an angle here or there where it's like, oh, it's good in this lane, it's good in this draft, but for the most part, I feel like they're unreliable and pretty vulnerable. So I usually don't like them, and they're also just annoying.
I think you two are going to get along in that take there.
Yeah, preach. It's also just like if you usually early rotate bot in competitive play, whether that be AD or support. And so mage support is something you if you are pulling it out, it has to be like a late round pick. And in this case, just going for that early Ash Braum, I think was a good call out of MTE to help get themselves set up in lane. And it's a really strong early game bot lane too.
Actually, I'd like to point out something interesting about the both the supports are picking up the Braum and the Alistar, which correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that nerf had already come through where they both lost like 7 armor off the start, and Braum had even got nerfed before that too. So it's just interesting to me that we're still feeling like they're pretty strong, and 7 armor doesn't seem to matter at level 1. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it does matter, but I think it's more so just comfort. I've seen Reaper on Braum a few times, and I think Thortle does like to play a little more engaged base, so that's probably the thought there. But Yeah,
And
good
it's not like
point.
they're completely like out of the game either. Just it was amusing that they both got nerfed there.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
And
that they did. The
looking rest of the game, like I said, Christmas music just kind of ran this one over. I've been hyping up Marshall a lot on the side of MTE because he has looked like the best player on this struggling MTE squad, and Christmas music just shoved that take in my face. He was running over him, especially game two, but even this game one here, just picking up a few kills early, and it's usually the same story with these MTE games where they just unfortunately fall behind early and never really get the chance to execute on the skirmishing comps that they've drafted, and they're just too far behind after like 10, 15 minutes. And in this case, into a Fed Jinx, Fed Aurora, it's really tough to pilot your champions. So just another kind of unfortunate game one coming out of MTE.
Yeah, draft wise, I'm with you. I love what MTE's draft is, but these are not the strongest lanes in the world. Like Aurora's the type of champion that pushes Vex in, and with some of the attention that Duffy was bringing around the map, I think it was hard for Trundle to get the lead, from what I'm gathering here. But yeah,
If we're focusing on the contesting like or getting staying even early, one thing I'd like to see from MTE is maybe not leashing for their jungler as often. If they can get to lane and actually like contest right from the start, that should help a lot.
yeah, yeah, definitely think that that helps put up the fight. And I think Ash Brahms level 1 is not terrible either. Correct
Oh,
me if
it's
I'm
the
wrong.
strongest level one in like all of bot lane, I'd
Oh
say.
wow, okay.
Uh, just with those two
It's pretty
passives
solid.
stacking up with each other, like it's really strong. So yeah, great point, Pens. Like just getting into that bush, getting some early prio, that can help you, start to build towards level spikes, capitalize off those level spikes, and get yourself ultimately set up for a comfortable game. Because leashes, you don't really need to leash anymore. I think it's been about like a year and a half, 2 years since leashing was really necessary. Ever since those, I don't know when those changes came through, but hasn't been necessary for a while now.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yep.
sure you can like make an argument that there would be some extreme cases like where maybe this jungler needs the help, but probably not.
I think the only time you leash is if you're looking to like immediately go buff to buff and steal it on like Shotco or um, like maybe a jungle scion or something like that. But yeah, I haven't. I couldn't even tell you when leashing is optimal. I think it's just kind of dead.
Yeah, the answer is never.
Yeah, yeah. See a little bit of fight here. Or just seen Marshall ended up shutting down Christmas music, but still, I mean, this is almost a 10k gold lead at 17 minutes. So yeah, this kind of got out of hand real quickly. 22 to
Yeah,
4.
it got snowballed pretty drastically. I think we can take a look at this last team fight about 40-30 into the YouTube video. I think maybe a little more. Let me get to it. Maybe 40-50. And Boppet ends up taking their third Drake, marching down mid lane. They have 15k gold lead at this time. And like I said, Fed Jinx, when you're able to pilot, able to free hit, just swooped them all up. Got robbed too. I'm wondering if there were some pings coming down. We could have had another Penta in the league, but Christmas music swooping in to steal that one away, and then Bop It able to just waltz their way to a very quick 24-minute end.
Yep. Whew, 18k. That's a gold lead.
You guys have been hyping up the MTE comp here, but I've also been loving this wave they've drafted around the Jinx. With like, it's just so hard to get past an Alistar and an Ornn to get onto that priority carry, and then from there, like if you ever get ahead on the Jinx, I just feel like the game becomes very, very easy, very, very quickly.
Yeah, Exhibit A, right? I think my thought was with the Vi, with the Vex, just the ease of execution and getting on the Jinx and a mobile AD carry, kind of doable, but they do have quite the front line to stop that, and Trundle not able to get through that either. So once that Jinx got ahead, like you said, it just really just wraps. They would run over the game. We saw that Quadra at the end of the game there to just really seal it.
Mhm.
Well, looking at game two here, we got a little bit of spice coming out. It looks like Boppet has been watching Pins pilot some Galio here because I see a Galio support.
I was wondering that. I don't think I caught this game actually, but I was wondering if that was a Galio support there or something crazy.
Well, on top of that, we
He
got
is.
Aurelia mid coming out for Christmas, so
Yeah. CLT was saying you're big. Are you the big Galio support enthusiast?
In
I
certain
believe that was you.
scenarios, I don't always love it, but I'm comfortable on it, and I do think that it's better than most people give it credit for. So I am happy to see it come out for sure.
Yeah, I think into like any. I typically like it into like dive, something like Leona or Rel. I feel like you're decent at
I
peeling
fully
that
agree.
away. And then the magic damage shield, if you're into a magic matchup, whether that's jungle or like a little bit of ADC Kai'Sa damage, like a, or sorry, ADC damage like a Kai'Sa, um, then it really has use. And pairing it with like a stronger laning AD carry and Aphelios worked out pretty well for Bop It here.
Hmm. And Aphelios is another one of those champs like the Jinx, where it's not so much about like, oh, I want somebody to go forward. It's I want somebody to keep the enemy team off of me, and I think Galio does a great job of that, like you highlighted. So I like the pairing.
Yeah, and then Christmas music, Irelia. So pretty much all of Christmas music games that I've seen that I recall, this guy's on a control mage, and really spicing it up here into the Echo. Is that as good of a matchup as Christmas music made it seem?
so in my opinion, I think it's a little more even than it has been in years past. Irelia's got one of the best, like level one, level two all ins there. But if you can get past that and you can get to the point where you're even, Echo can kind of push the wave and just kind of ignore the laning phase altogether. Um, then post level six, his ult kind of gets him out of all the danger. So Echo can like stall out the lane, but if the Aurelia plays the early levels good, you can increase the tempo, make the game faster, and then it's hard for Echo to play.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Level one solo kill coming in for Christmas music. And Marshall also ran Ignite in this lane too. I think
Oof.
TP would have probably been the move just in case those early levels don't go your way. Because that was really the start. I mean, I sped through this game pretty quickly. The bot lane of MTE actually did pretty well. I think they've been a weak point in some of their previous losses. They held their own all right. Granted, the Galio, we touched on it. It's more of a peel pick. It's not necessarily a hill lane. But bot lane held their own. This one was really just an absolute canyon in the mid lane. Probably the largest single lane gap that I've seen all split.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is I've got to really step it up for next week then.
Maybe, yeah. Gotta throw down the gauntlet. We gotta see something better.
Well, be curious to see what he's got in store for that one. Um, if he's got anything left in the pocket, because I think you're gonna have to bring it all out for this week 7. But
Oh, well, we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Hmm.
looking at this, I'm seeing 8 minutes. Christmas already had 5 kills. Oh my lord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all solo kills, by the way, too.
Oh
Um,
my. Yeah. This is next to impossible for Echo to play.
yeah, I think the highlight play for MTE this series. We skipped ahead to 8 minutes, but they did have a really good skirmish about 3.5 minutes in the top lane. Meows and JMock able to get the better of Scrublord and Duffy, just thanks to some kind of better positioning, better target selection. So that was good to see out of the top side 2v2. But we've all had those games where you're going against a crazy fed enemy Irelia. This brought back a few flashbacks, honestly, and
Yep.
it was the Christmas music show.
Yep. They do not have really any type of CC to deal with her once she gets ahead as well. So yeah, it's got out of control. So But it is nice for the Boppet side. You know, they're showing off a few champions, practicing some stuff. We've seen now at least another jungler pulling out the Nunu. That was a kind of a caster curse special there. Um,
Everybody's just copying us. We've got a good draft breed. I'm just gonna say
I mean, maybe,
it.
but maybe this Aurelia is something Christmas will start to pull out as an AD option here. I like.
Yeah, I think that's the most interesting part is how it really opens up the way for more potentials for Boppet rather than a more stock standard front to back with the control mage. You show that you can play this dive side in the mid jungle.
Mhm. Oh man, 19 minutes, 10K. Yep.
Don't look. Good win for Boppet though. Like this is they've been struggling the past few weeks, and I know we had them rated pretty highly at the start of the season, and they've kind of just been dropping since. But this was a good win for them. Obviously, kind of expected, but always nice to see a higher up team kind of have a bounce back victory like that, and we'll see if they can carry that momentum forward going into our last week here.
Yep. Well, we will move on to our next one, which is Happy Jellyfish G League versus Big Brain All Mechanics. This one I do not have too much on.
We get
I
another fun little support pick out of Ashes.
oh lord, just
I still don't know how I feel about that.
just a Diana again.
Yep.
Jeez. I was sitting there about to say like I like the comp, but then when you said that, I'm like, wait, yeah, who? What? Is Galio support maybe? Um, but yeah, see Smoles in the mid lane pulling out the Galio. This Galio Panth Nocturne, like kind of triple global dive, looks quite interesting. I do kind of want to dive into this game, but if you guys get the chance to see how this one went.
I caught the first game. I ended up missing most of the second, but yeah, no, they did a good job from what I recall of using their globals effectively. So basically, any time that it looked like Big Brain had had a good skirmish going on, it was because generally one of or more of their globals were elsewhere and then ulted in and turned the fight. So there was like a lot of things where it's like it looks kind of good, and then oop, there's Pantheon, oop, there's Galio, oop, there's Nocturne, right? So it ended up being a lot rougher than it initially looked in a lot of those fights.
Yeah, I like that take. I think the other thing is kind of zooming ahead. This Diana got way accelerated um,
Oh yeah.
with a triple kill about 8 minutes game time in. It's like 42-50 in the YouTube video. There was a little bit of fighting back and forth before that. I think things were staying relatively even. Scandal Baby developing a lead in the top side over Ronin, and a little bit of a lead in the mid lane in the jungle out of Perps and Smalls to even that out. But we see a gank coming through from the Sejuani, and then, like Penn said, this squad of Happy Jellyfishes did a really good job playing the map using their globals. Smalls TPs on down, flashes forward with the taunt, catches two, Ashes follows up, Murph follows up, and the Diana walks out of all this with a triple kill. So regardless of how you feel about the Diana support, walking away 3-0 on an assassin pick, or 3-1, sorry, does fall to the tower at the end there. 3 kills though on an assassin pick is gonna get you started off very nicely.
Oh yeah. And I want to give credit to Smalls there. I just watched that back as you mentioned it, and he did a fantastic job of setting that up for the Diana on the Galio there.
Yeah, it was like TP and then just such a good taunt to line them up perfectly. Rocket comes on top, and then Ashes. This is something because we did see the Diana support before, and he built like this hybrid Locket Proto Belt crossover. And I don't know if he necessarily watches, but I was talking about how if you're gonna go for a wacky pick like this, you might as well just full send it and go full damage. Obviously, it helps when you're ahead of the curve of the game, but I was really happy to see just full AP out of the Diana, going the Zazas, which is that kind of purple support item that really bolsters your damage, and then following that up with Storm Surge and just full AP items to really commit to the burst.
One thing I want to highlight about this game is that despite the fact that it felt incredibly one-sided a lot of the time, I still feel like it could have been a lot closer, or that it was a lot closer than it looked. So the main thing, I felt like Ronan early on the Pantheon had a pretty good handle on the lane and was really making it hard for the Nasus. But he started roaming a lot, and he got a really good kill on Kazalan in the early game by walking down from top lane. Um, but it gave Nasus a lot of time to start farming up and sacking up and getting to the point where he could just kind of lane freely into the Pantheon and run him down. So Nasus was scaling quite well. Um, and then on top of that, they've got the Smolder Sona, right? And there was a fight by Baron where, again, up until this point, it looked like it was all coming up Happy Jellyfish, and that this fight by Baron, they ended up turning it into they got the Baron, but then Big Brains um, managed to get a couple kills, and it looked like they were going to actually like get a full ace. Um, and I felt like somebody had just walked off, or they didn't all play on the same page there. But had that fight gone just like ever so slightly better, I think they could have actually that could have blown the game back to even, and they could have won off of the scaling. And I think the main thing that hampered that was just how again, there were just so many fights where they basically got globaled, right? Like if they
Hmm.
had managed to slow down the game a little bit more before then, I think they could have actually been in a good spot to win this game.
Yeah, because I mean, all the gold lead was on that Diana early. I know they
Yeah.
swapped their bot lane up to try to stall out the Nasus, and then the team fight just ended up going in their favor. Before we look at that Baron team fight, I'd like to look at where am I at? Maybe I did have that Baron team fight marked. No, a little later. But 59-10, before the Baron even spawns, fight coming up around mid-river. Ashes gets caught out at the start of that, and the rest of the team, though, is still able to pick it up because a huge fan of Jinx. Once Jinx gets a reset, and once again, I think this is a pretty good Jinx comp too. Kind of the opposite of what we saw in that first series, where you're not necessarily playing to protect the Jinx, you're playing to get the Jinx a reset, which is this crazy dive in the back line, and then letting Murph take the wheel after that. But we see a good kind of display of, I think, the team fight strengths of the Happy Jellyfish squad in that little series. And then I think the Baron fight that Pens was talking about is a little bit after that. If we go to like 101.10 in the YouTube video, that's that fight where Happy Jellyfish are first on the Baron and do get that. Ashes falls down for relatively free though, and on the way out, it's a very close fight that Happy Jellyfish just barely get away from. Not sure.
Yeah,
Was that the Baron fight you were talking about?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they chase all the way into the like basically
Yeah.
through blue side jungle here.
And then Smolder, I think Smolder was on death during this whole thing. So walking back from base, doing that all that without the Smolder and with how close it was, that really could have been the swing. Just a few seconds there of Trees being able to free hit, but
Yeah,
not able to join the fight in time.
yeah. I didn't realize when I had watched the first time. I didn't realize that Smolder had come back from the death chamber. I did thought he just like left and went mid lane, but that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
Because
and I
that was
think
the main
after
thing that I
that,
was talking about, like not being on the same page. But I guess
oh,
it was just really close and slightly unfortunate on that one fight there.
very
oh,
unfortunate because that kind of just snowballed things out for Happy Jellyfish. Just with that Baron, with those few kills, I think they just marched into the rest of the base, kind of ran it over with some Jinx resets and
uh,
obviously the huge front line they had.
I'm seeing a lot of shopkeeper loss from the smolder. Triforce Sojin. They kind of nerfed that out. It's basically like straight crit now. You can go, maybe you can fit Shojin in there like second, but um, yeah, the mana costs are so low now that you don't need the tier. And I want to know what the hell this Amptone's doing.
Seekers? Oh,
Maybe?
okay. You're a little bit, it is Seekers, yeah.
Okay.
Gets that. I
Yeah.
think What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that
against
one?
that comp, I can respect the Seekers for sure.
I can respect the Seekers, but I mean Triforce is pretty similar cost to IE, so I'm like I kind of wish it would have just been just straight crit. You're into Galio, you're into Nocturne, who yeah has armor boots, but that's it. So I think crit goes pretty hard here. It does. Like there's a lot of shit coming your way in the sense of the globals and the Diana. So, but if you can ever absorb this punch as a smolder, then you can definitely start to put in a lot of work in these team fights.
Just a casual 25 stacks on the Magi's from Smoles, by the way.
Ooh.
Yep. There's a couple subs in here. Smoles at mid, Souls um, at jungle here, and I don't know Scandal Baby. I believe that's another sub. So yeah, but kind of seeing the end of this definitely looks like this team comp for Happy Jellyfish got rolling and they just couldn't stop it.
Yep.
So going over to game two here. What are we seeing here? What tomfoolery is Ashes playing?
Uh, this
Actually, it
Oh,
wasn't Ashes doing the tomfoolery this game.
he had to be a
I,
part of it somehow,
I
right?
see. I
Well, he
see.
was a part of it, but it wasn't his pick. Like it might have been his choice, but it wasn't his champion.
Oh, a little Karthus bot lane action here.
Don't ooh for Nami Karthus, man. That just uh uh I don't see the vision. I
You,
really don't.
you don't?
I don't.
I
No.
I actually kind of do. I'm not saying it's good, but I can come up with like a reason why you like why there might be something there, regardless of its effectiveness. Which is so like Nami E, right? Like not only is it empowering abilities, it doesn't have to be autos anymore, but it also slows, right? Like so if you put Nami E on Karthus and he lands like one little skittle with that, right? That's just going to set him up. He's already got a big slow if he needs it, but that's just going to set him up to keep landing those skittles. And having played against farming Karthus before, like it's usually fine, but every once in a while you get one of those games where you just get kind of get stuck in an all in where you get hit by like five skittles in a row and your health is gone,
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
right? So like I feel like you can make an argument that maybe they're thinking, okay, we can deal a ton of damage, and if Nautilus comes in on me, then maybe I can use my passive and get return kills or something. I don't know how viable that actually is, but that's the vision that I can see.
Yeah, I suppose. It's just
Like I'm trying to stretch here for him, okay?
I got it. I got it. I'm just hating. That's really it. They had something cooking here. I'm not gonna say it worked. They did get 2v2 killed early on with the Nautilus Sivir lane. Nautilus just having really good all in, especially into Nami. Really like the counter pick there. And then I feel like Sivir matches pretty well into Karthus too. Like you're okay matching the farming, scaling out, and then you can push the Karthus in just with your wave clear, and that makes it really tough for the Karthus to farm, get you a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, and the other
But
beautiful thing about that is like once you get to that one item where you are just wave clearing, it gives Nautilus the room to just leave and basically affect the entire map, and you can just sit there and press two abilities, auto the wave a couple times, and you're not under any threat, right? Like they don't have any hard engage outside of the Nami R, which you can probably just avoid with your own.
yeah, we don't see too much. I think it's like a select few supports that are the only ones who I really see getting on the map and roaming. You're one of them. Campbell does it. We see, I think Rhaegor out of Misfits does it a little bit. Do you have any
Mhm.
thoughts on kind of that? Just I know that's a bit general, but why we maybe see a lot of these supports play for lane more and stick around in lane?
I think it's a couple things. One, I feel like if the game is like not that active on the map, I feel a lot less pressure to be as well. So like if you're just kind of autopiloting, you can just default to going back to bot lane. But we're also seeing like a lot of like scaling picks, like people just wanting to be like, okay, I've got Sivir, I'm gonna be a farm machine, and then I'm gonna hit like three or four items, and then I'm gonna start taking over the game. And if they can play that stably and get to that point, and a lot of these games have been going pretty long, um, then like the kind of the only thing that could go wrong with that is if your scaling laner like kind of starts getting snowballed on, right? So I think part of it is like if you're just trying to keep them safe and get them to farm up, that could be a reason. And the other thing is I have noticed like if I'm playing like flex, like my MMR and flex is a lot higher than say like my ranked games, right? So if I'm playing flex, I'll see the map is moving a lot more, and that will get the supports out of lane as well, because people will come and unlock the supports and let them move around and affect the map. Whereas if I'm playing in my ranked games, like it's just a lot less. Like the map becomes a lot more static, and I think that this rec league has a little bit of both, where you'll just get some players who will default to a more static game than you might otherwise see.
100% agree. Well put too. I know it's something we saw in Sweat League a little bit too, where just a lot of Sivir like Lulu scaling picks, which if that's what you draft for, it's fine, totally fine to stay in lane, make sure your late game carry threat does scale up properly. Just wanted to get someone's thoughts as someone who does play in the league and has played against a lot of these supports, kind of
Mhm.
how that looks to shape out. Because that's one of my favorite parts of support is when you get into the map movement side of things and all the nitty gritty vision stuff.
Yeah, just a note to junglers out there, by the way. If you ever want your support to like team up with you and start moving around the map, gank bot a couple times because like as soon as they get ahead, well, like you'll get to. Some people will just be like, okay, well now I have to play for this person because they're fed. But you'll also get people who are like, okay, my ADC is in a good spot. They can lane 1v2. Now I am free to go wherever I want. I can go team up with the jungler to gank mid or take grubs or whatever. So if you're a jungler and you're wanting your support to roam, pay them a couple visits and they will probably pay you back
All kind of snowballs out. But talking, zooming back out to the rest of the game,
for sure.
this was another pretty back and forth game from what I remember from it's kind of like quick little skim through. Ronan had a lot better of a laning phase. I think Gangplank into Gragas is a little less volatile than the previous matchup, but farmed up okay. This game was really just perps getting pretty ahead on the Warwick after a lot of like mid-game skirmishes. So like post 15 minutes, remember the Warwick just getting on the map and making stuff happen alongside Smoles, not Souls. Too many similar names here. But
Yep.
alongside Smoles, you have the Karthus ult coming in over top too. I think there was a dragon fight. Really a setup to the dragon fight too. We go about 144.30. See dragon spawns. Shrees and Hidekas do get caught out in the river here. Great collapse coming through from Happy Jellyfish. Just had the wards in place beforehand, thanks to some push in both of their solo lanes. Able to punish, get Warwick 2 kills there, and then continue to fast forward. And not a fan of this contest at all. Big Brains sending it pretty much 2 versus 4, and you're really never going to win that, especially into the strong skirmishing champions of Yone Warwick. So Warwick picks up another kill. He ends up 5-1 after that whole little second dragon debacle. I think that was the start of Happy Jellyfish very slowly beginning to kind of put Big Brains in a chokehold and start to walk away with this one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sitting here just going through the fight. Perps, this seems to be like his pick is this Warwick. I don't think anybody else has brought it out this split, and I think he's found quite a bit of success on it in the last couple weeks. So
Yeah, not. I mean, Warwick players don't really come to mind. I feel like he's the one who has been bringing it out. And this was honestly a pretty good game to watch. There was some back and forth objective trading on both sides. Big Brains was responding, as Happy Jellyfish was taking those dragons. They knocked down quite a few towers here, just playing the side lane with Scandal, with Kazulan, even with Shrees getting around the map and keeping gold pretty even here. I mean, we were at like pretty much a 2K gold lead, I think, 25 minutes in, which is pretty much dead even when you're at that stage of the game. And I think the game was really tight. It was just a little better navigated on the side of Happy Jellyfish with maybe an easier comp to pilot too.
yeah, there's a there's a lot of just one item, two item spikes coming out of the Happy Jellyfish comp when you're looking at the item builds. Triforce, couple blades, Karthus on two items is gonna hurt. So I can start to see where this is a lot of damage, and there's not really a dedicated front line. Like you have the Nautilus with Locket, but I mean at the end of the day, Karthus is still gonna kind of punch through that. So I can just zoom on through this a little bit. Fight here in the mid lane. Looks like Ashes got out of it, but they end up taking up Murph.
Is that the one with the Nami engage?
I believe so. Yeah, it was. Um, yeah, Hidekis went fishing this game. He had quite a few very beneficial hooks. But yeah, well, it's tied up here. 2K gold lead, 21 minutes. Where did this one kind of break open?
Tough. There was no real break open point until I feel like the very end. Just a little bit of gold here or there until kind of just there's a 30-minute Baron that Happy Jellyfish used to kind of push in waves and force a fight and come out on top there. But before that, 20 to 30 minutes, there wasn't any moment that really stuck out to me as like the definitive kind of game turning moment. It always felt like Big Brains were in it, especially when you have this late game Sivir starting to scale up, and always the potential of picks with Ares and Zhao, Nautilus being able to pounce on you pretty easily.
Yeah. It looks like they tried to sneak a Baron here at about 28. I'm slowly making my way to that 30-minute mark, but okay. What do we got here? The bot lane ends up getting picked off. Yeah. They end up getting Baron. That ends up pushing. Yeah, okay. It makes sense now. So GP's on 3 items. 100% crit. Yep. Okay. Yep, I see it all now. Still really solid showing here for Big Brains. Just having some difficulties translating it to a win. Being down their jungler, who I think was probably the heart and soul of their team. We said that I think in a previous Midwest Weekly where Cosmic Mo. Um,
Oh, definitely missed there.
yeah, definitely a tough miss there. But Soul's filling in. Um, now's got what 3 rolls under his pocket this split. So
Wait, what else did he play?
I thought he played support a game.
Oh, maybe. I don't
Maybe
recall seeing that one.
all these games all blend together. But all right, so we will then go over to one of our exciting series
Yep.
of the week here, and Misfits and Capachungus here. And I assume Pins, you kept a very close eye on this one.
I can't remember if I assume I saw this one. I like to try to keep track of all the games, but I don't remember how this one went at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember the drafts because I go through them to set up the that Discord channel,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if I watched this one.
Well, we see we see some. I don't want to say like interesting picks. They're fairly meta here. I think the thing that stands out is Pilk on the Talia. Talia is not something that we see like that often. But Soka was able to punish it with this Echo. But this Yanara, like early, kind of stood out. I don't. I've seen some mixed opinions on Yanara. I know personally, my 80 carry is not a big fan of her. Thinks she's weak. But then I see like in China and in
Your
Korea,
ADC needs to reconsider.
love it. So I I take well. I mean, we've seen your boy Bird uh, pop off on it quite a bit. I think it fits your guys' bot lane style quite heavily. Nexus, what's now that you've had a little bit of time, have you had a chance to kind of play with Yanar here?
I don't think it's weak at all. I don't think it's like game breaking strong, but I would put it in like top tier of 80 carries. I think if you can pilot it well, just with how it plays, if you're ever able to stack up, that's a winning team fight or a winning skirmish. If you get full stacks there, gonna be shredding. So I like it can be tough to stack up like that depending on the comp and depending on how kind of knife's edge you want to play. But I think it's pretty up there as low S, high A tier pick personally. You know, I don't know about 1P for it. I think that's fine if that's something you're comfortable playing. I think it generally operates pretty good into most lanes just because you have range, you have kind of CC abilities with the W slow that always allow you some sort of skill check. And so I think until it gets nerfed a little more, I'm gonna hold it in pretty high regard coming into the final week and the playoffs here.
Mm.
And I do like to see the Milio paired with it as well. I think that her strongest pairings are generally going to be enchanters. Like obviously it depends on the draft, but
Agreed.
I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good choice there from the Capachunga spot lane.
Yeah, she operates like a hyper carry, right? I think she doesn't necessarily look like she plays like one, but you're all about trying to get a lot of autos in and more damage over time than explosive damage. So I agree. I like pairing enchanters with Yunara. I think that's probably her best pick, best sort of pairing there, and the Melio especially because you can buff up with the range and really enable those stacks to happen.
All right. Well, I we kind of already went past it, but Misfits though drawing the first blood here in the bot lane. It was a nice flash um, headbutt into a pulverize underneath the turret here from Rhaegar and Cats. This bot lane, I mean, they're catching some fire. They're figuring some stuff out. The Misfits team in general has had an insane like run
Also,
here,
the flash Q. Oh, I can't tell. That's very close.
It's a
but
flash Q. Uh,
so
if you were talking the difference there, yeah, tiny nitpick. Q flash is a little better, but
Sorry, former Alistar main coming out again.
oh yeah, no, I get it because if you do play at like a high enough level, people will flash that, and it will be it'll make you look a little stupid. The Q flash is unless you know it's coming, it's impossible to react to. So in agreement yet again there with you.
I'll
well,
take it. I like to be agreed with.
well,
And
this
then after the first blood too, I don't know if we zoomed too far ahead, but I really want to highlight what Soka did here. Got the early push in the mid lane, just walked straight to enemy red buff. They knew Jarvan was on it because of a ward on Raptors earlier, and actually gets the kill on the Jarvan. And I think this was just a huge play for the side of Misfits because he set
Do you have the time
Fa
for
on
that
the
book?
Jarvan behind. It was like right after the first blood, so let me rewind. Like if you go to like 12:15,
Oh,
you can
okay, yeah, I see.
see while all this is happening, the Echo's making his way into the red buff, pokes out Jarvan. Jarvan kind of sticking around a lot longer than he maybe should have with Pilk collapsing. Maybe they think there's an angle there, but Soka gets the kill. Jarvan doesn't get the red buff, and so now Sejuani's, has been full clearing this full time, and Jarvan's either out of pace, both out of pace and not ganking. So I think that was a huge win. It basically won jungle for how I met my ADC, and that was what started snowballing this Echo. I know he was able to roam around the map and pick up a few more things later on too.
Mhm.
yeah, any early kills on the Echo, he just starts to feel like Thanos. Because it gets him to that Q break point where he can one shot the back line, and then at that point he can wave clear with the best of them. And as I'm kind of watching this back, it's coming to me a little bit. Soka had like a really impressive game on this Echo in general.
All right, I did watch this then. I
Um,
remember
Yeah, he
that
got on the
happening.
map. There was a dive in the bot lane like 10.5 minutes in that he helped facilitate. Lolcats and Rhaegar just setting up, getting the wave push, and that Echo ends up with 4 kills 11 minutes in. So that's about 1940 if you want a timestamp for that one. Um, just a not necessarily a clean dive, but when the setup is there, execution was able to falter a little bit, and they were able to still kind of walk away with massively net positive play, just thanks to Lolcats able to push and get another wave advantage on this Yunara. I think that Echo really taken over the game, and it all started with that early invade and just great map movement out of the Misfits mid laner.
Yeah, yeah, this was his coming out game for sure. Here, I mean, 11 minutes, your full proto belt with sword shoes. Oh, that's
I think
tough.
those are the magical boots, aren't they? Oh, he's gonna base. Never mind. Okay, yeah, I see now. I'm caught up.
Yeah, and Walford, got a couple kills here on Teemo's big dragon fight here. 12 minutes game time. Um, where it looked like Capuchungus, sorry, came back. Soka does get one back there. Cat's kind of just late to the party, so they end up winning a dragon fight here in the river just to get some kills. But only about 2K gold lead here by the time the plates land. Soka ends up getting another one here, 13 minutes. But stacking the drakes, and if I remember correctly, the drake stacking played a big part in this game here. Yeah, three drakes in 19 minutes.
I mean, I feel like both comps match up pretty evenly. You got good front line with Scion and Alistar on both sides. Backline threat of Talia, Yunara, and then Jin on the other side. It's they match up on paper, so getting those Drake stacking and then really just the Echo snowballing ahead of the game seemed to be the difference to me at least.
Yeah,
Nexus, if I can pick your brain on something here,
Go
how would
ahead.
you have felt about an exhaust on Campbell, just knowing that there's an assassin on the enemy team?
I wouldn't have minded it. I do think heal is better though. I personally tend to play for lane a little more, and I think just having the heal to keep yourself more safe in lane is generally going to be okay. I don't think the Echo. I don't know how much exhaust saves you there. I think heal is just the safer pick. At
That's
the end of
fair.
the day, exhaust is a little more conditional. It could be better, but most of the scenarios heal is going to be better. So I think there's a fair case to be made, but I would have probably just gone heal myself. So I'm not going to harp on that too much.
I think the thing that stands out for me looking after they just got sold here 25 minutes is that Jarvan, he was on life support with this item build here. Just got no income, no gold compared to everybody else on the map. Had to go um, Knight's Vow.
Not a fan of that one.
I'm not either, but
There are some junglers where I don't mind seeing it. Like if it's like a Sejuani instead, which is on the other side of the
I think my
other
only
side of the
my only concern is like you're still not stacking up any type of MR. If you're not going a damage route, I could argue like Locket's just overall better, where it gives you the mix of armor MR.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I can get behind that. Especially with the Echo
Just full
being at 7
tank.
and 2, he's probably going to be a very large part of the damage profile.
yeah, or even Sterix if you because Sterix is one of the cheaper bruiser items, but I don't know. It looked like Foe definitely got picked on from the word go. Soka making probably one of the best heads up plays I've seen this season, and just getting the push and then um, diving diving him in that jungle and the red buff first clear. But
I
yeah,
think final fight here before we go on to game two. Uh, Sorry, I interrupted your thought. You want to
no, no,
finish that first?
no, no, you're good, you're good.
Okay, going about 33 minutes in, YouTube video.
Alright.
That's the fight around Soul. It is the dragon stacking, so they know they have to contest and make something happen. And it's a pretty close fight, honestly. Golden Sunset's able to stack up and get hits in, but just not quite enough damage to get through what is a very beefy front line of Misfits. Misfits just kind of death balling, running at them, and after that, they're able to get the Soul. Gold lead balloons to a little over 5K, and that pretty much does it in for game one.
Yeah, I don't think Golden Sunset really could have played this much better, and he just ain't got the gold to punch through that kind of front line.
Yep.
This is Infernal Soul, two Infernal Drakes with a Fed Echo that went Death Cap third. Yeah, he picks and chooses who plays his game. So
Which, if you're the ADC player, is never a fun time.
no, no, that might be where the regret of not having exhaust, because it still scales well against like hyper
At
carries. But
that point, it kind of stops mattering in my experience. Like depending on how fed they are, like you do get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I exhausted him, but he hit my carry with like he missed his
yeah.
key ability and hit him everything else and still got the kill. And so I can still see an argument for heal even in this case.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
neither.
it would have mattered more in those like mid game fights. The bot lane
Yeah,
dive that would have saved him.
that's
I think
true.
it's just tough to predict
Yeah.
the echo. But my problem with exhaust is I feel like I want at least like one and a half targets to potentially exhaust. You're not exhausting
Yeah,
anyone else other than the echo. If
I
you're into a somewhat dive short range AD carry or a more bruiser jungler or top, then I can definitely support the exhaust pick.
I tend to agree with the 1.5 comment. Unless there's like one person who's just like this person absolutely is going to need it. Um,
Hmm.
like generally, I don't want to play against the Katarina without exhaust, for example, which I think we're seeing drafted in
Oh,
the
cough,
next game.
cough. Yeah.
Ooh. While you continue that thought, we can kind of move over to that.
I want to hear
but
your
yeah, for
thoughts
the
on
most
the
part, like
Katarina CLT.
Oh. No, I'll let Pence finish this thought though.
loves that sentence. Oh, that was basically it.
Oh yeah. Um. Oh man, Katarina, what a champion. If you know how to pilot this champion, she is insanely just deadly. I don't think she's that weak in lane, like what everybody else says. There is a lot of picks that can just stonewall her in lane. Like I prefer Lissandra or like Cassio into her, but Soka, on this Katarina, I like the electrocute. I love the just full burst setup in lane because it's just your damage is so you spike so early. And also you have no resources, so mana champions are just sitting there throwing out spells and have cooldowns, and well, Katarina doesn't have nothing. It's it's an annoying champion to deal with. I do love how Capachungus fought back this game. Like it seemed like they knew Soka was either like Katarina was on the table, or they just adapted in the draft going after this Katarina. Because I think they have a lot of really solid answers for her. Campbell, I know, stopped her ult quite a few
The
times.
signature poppy pick,
Huh?
the signature poppy.
Yeah, yeah. Campbell is definitely seems to just really enjoy this poppy, and he plays at such a great level. I know, Piggy. I'll piggyback off the supports here, but you can definitely see like a support player who's put in work on a pick like Poppy, and those who haven't
Mhm.
in that regard. So I love the draft answers and the overall just gameplay against this Katarina. But yeah, screw that champion.
Like you said in the that one series, it's your brand to watch, not your brand to play.
It yeah, yeah. I can agree with that. They can do some exciting things, but then you're reminded that when you play against it, you're like, screw this. Why does she get to play on Earth and I don't? Is how it feels. So, uh, yeah. Pilk had a really nice
Lost this
game.
game into the Katarina.
I'm sorry.
Or for Pens, would you have gone exhaust this game into the Katarina?
I probably would have, especially on a tank. I feel like it's so much easier to get a good exhaust off, and it's into the misfortune too, right? If she starts her ult, and you exhaust her, it's going to take a lot of her value as a champion out of that fight. Um, Although I guess with Golden Sunset taking the ignite and then getting them first blood, I don't actually, he's got a good point there too with getting his ADC, his Sivir ahead already at just under 3 minutes. But yeah, no, I would probably have taken the exhaust unless I'm on a lane where my goal is to get like a 2v2 kill. I would definitely just want to make sure that I can keep either Katarina or Misfortune from getting their full value out of their ult.
Same boat. It's that kind of one and a half rule where you misfortune, maybe not 100% exhaust target every fight, but any fight she ults, it's going to be a decent exhaust
Yeah, especially if
possibility
it's like
there.
a multi-man.
And then shutting down that Katarina too. That CLT has been raving about. But great kill early game out of Sunset and Campbell. Soka actually I think gets some solo kills back in the mid lane too. Campbell want to shout him out for an early roam into the mid lane too. Don't know if we've crested over that one yet on
What
CLT's
was the
video
timer
side.
running?
It's
We're
a little after the first blood.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
about at the 6 minute mark. Yeah, it looks like he's roaming mid here, so we'll let this play out.
right after the first blood, sorry.
Yeah.
Like 49 minutes in. It's kind of fascinating. He gets the 2v2 kill bot and
Oh,
then teams up with Fa and they pick up Feet of Warfare there onto the mid
great flash
jungle
out
of
too.
Soka and How I Met My ADC. Yeah, barely gets
Ah,
out.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this was actually massive, and I don't know if Pilk planned on going this build, uh, but the fact that he got 2 kills early and then went the Roa build into a pretty aggressive team comp, I thought that was a big dub for the shopkeeper there, because it's very
Dep-
easy to just autopilot to like malignance, and then you're not really that defensive against Katarina.
Depending on the prep work that Capachungas did, I wouldn't be surprised if he had planned it out. Just because like the um, Misfits have been running this comp where it's like a whole bunch of just AOE's, like CC and damage just like stacked on top of each other to just try to kind of like insta kill your whole team. Um, it's kind of been like at least once per series, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were at least like anticipating, hey, this is how we can come up with some sort of answers into that.
Yeah, yeah. Ari's not. It's not a nightmare matchup for Ari, especially if she gets to a point where she can wave clear and just kind of match roams. Then it just becomes on the hands. But yeah, when I seen the 2 kills and then this first back double ruby into sapphire crystal, I was like, okay, we can play the game here and make this life for Katarina much more difficult.
I want to look at about an hour and two into the YouTube video. I feel like that's one of the big fights of the mid game. We did see a lot of back and forth. Soka just quietly snowballing on this Katarina, getting some gold on himself. Nasus too. I want to shout out Timo's Kuchi for really holding his own into Walliford. I think top laner of Capachungus has been. I mean, I'll take the heat for this. I'll say it was the weak point, and feel like this game too was a really solid performance out of the Nasus pick, scaling up well. But hour two, we see another solo kill onto Rhaegar out of Campbell and Golden Sunset, and then Soka TP's in, and he is inches away from two more kills in this Katarina.
As a
Dives to
support
bottom
main, I watched
tower.
that, and I hate seeing like I feel like Golden Sunset did everything right and still almost ended up dead, and I hate seeing that so much.
Yep, like you get the 2v2 kill. This deep board TP comes in, flashes pretty much all the quote unquote skill shots Katarina has, and it's that close. And Campbell was right there for another potential reset on the Katarina. So I was
Yeah,
I was clenching there.
same.
I kind of like looking back at this. I actually think Golden Sunset could have went MR boots after you get the feats, like potentially sit on the boots and then get the MR shield, because I think that really helps against Katarina. The defensive boots just by themselves have so much value there. I know that's like super nitpicky, but
Well,
yeah,
it's also there's like this interesting dichotomy of do you want to be more survivable and like there is so much CC that maybe it makes a difference if you're not just getting chained to death anyways. But on the other hand, like as the Sivir, your whole job is to auto attack, right? So without those attack speed boots, like it's kind of comes as a little bit of a question of like whether it's worth it or not. I certainly can't answer that myself, but
yeah,
Uh, I'll dissent. I'll go for the Berserker Greaves. Similar vein as Pens was saying, you are an 80 carry, you're there to hit. Attack speed is how Sivir operates and how she's able to get almost all of her DPS down. I don't think Merc Treads here gives you enough survivability to really justify it. You have the cleanse for any CC ability that comes down on top of you, like a Leona ult or a Mumu ult, to kite out of that. You still have your spell shield. So I have very rarely seen champions like Sivir build defensive boots, and I think there's good cause for that.
That's fair. I just look at like the rest of their damage profile. They're like 60-70% magical. Um, so it was just
Yeah,
like
I
worth
think
a
the only
thought.
the only time you ever really would even consider it is if you feel like you're going to be not the target, but if you're going to be the accessible target on your team, right? Because otherwise, like if your team's doing their job correctly, if you're untouchable, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
And then if you're
that's fair.
touchable, the question becomes, will the Merc Tread save you anyways?
Yeah, that's fair. They do have a lot of interrupts and a lot of just denial for them to get onto the Sivir. So that's a fair. But
Want to look at a big team fight?
say it again.
About hour 12, 20 in the YouTube
12.
video. Timo Scucci said, tried to shout him out a little bit earlier. Developing quite a good side lane presence on this Nasus, stacking up well, and then a collapse coming through on the side of Capachungus. Great counter collapse from Misfits, and then just all hell breaks loose. Lolcat's getting a pretty nice MF ulti off. Soka with a decent Katarina ulti too.
Ooh.
And Misfits actually come out on top of this fight, is what it looks like, but Campbell and Pilk sticking around for more. And that was a pretty crazy one up there. A lot of ultis, a lot of explosiveness. Two teams just duking it out.
Yeah. This oh, nice charm from Pilk there. Yeah. It's unfortunate the ult runs out, but it looks like it didn't game change it too much. Couple flashes burned here. Yeah, these teams were very close. Um, but looking again, I think this is the one thing Misfits does very well is the dragon stacking. Like looking
Yeah, I
at
do
this game.
recall. I did end up watching this. I don't remember much of it, but I do recall them just getting on top of almost every objective very, very early.
Yeah, but kind of skimming through this.
Second of breakpoint, hour 18, we see a Baron sort of flip come out.
Ooh, we
Another
like Baron
pretty
flips.
tense moments. Yes, we do.
Oh,
There were a lot of steals this week too.
oh yeah, we'll get to an epic one here next series. Uh, oh yeah, foe, really nicely done there on that, and also,
Definitely. Misfits were first to the objective though, yet again.
yeah, but looks like Capachungus is trying to just take the whole base during this time.
Yeah, this was tense. Soka had a game-saving play here. This game too was very tight. The call for Misfits was to go for the Baron, sack their inhib, and then they just barely able to get back here in time. Soka killing off Golden Sunset for the 10th kill on this Katarina, and
Sheesh.
really, really stalling this one out to go the distance.
Yeah, Orin items are starting to come out at this point, so even though Misfortune doesn't really match Sivir scaling for scaling, like, you can't ignore her. That's a 4 item MF there after that push.
I feel like the scaling argument with Misfortune is always a weird one because it's just super conditional to me, right? Like she's always gonna have very, very high value if she can land a good ultimate, like no matter what point in the game you're on. But like yeah, if it's just trading autos and basic abilities, obviously Sivir's just gonna blow her out of the water at this point in the game.
Hmm.
Draft a team fight comp around the Misfortune to have it scale, quote unquote, scale into the late game. Sivir is just so much easier to execute otherwise. So definitely get that. This game, I mean, it really does go long though. Hour 21:30. There's a fight win against Elder from Misfits. Capachungus just because they were able to get two inhibs down, lane pressure from the Baron, they're able to just easily secure the Elder. And Misfits fight back. I mean, they get those team fight ultis off. Lowcats with a decent ulti in the
All of
front
them with
line.
the flank on the side was pretty big until he got charmed there.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it still like just distracts you though. Like they had to
Yeah.
blow resources on him and it really throws you into chaos backline. And this, I mean, just another clincher. It was a 4 for 0, 4 for, sorry, 5 for 1 ace. I can't math. I gotta get some sleep.
Against Elder, by the way, that's insane.
I know it's crazy. And then gold,
Wait, what's the result already?
goes in favor of Misfits for the first time in a very long time this game. And they're marching down mid lane. Don't actually really get anything, which I think was crucial, and kept Capachungus in it. As I know we're kind of in late game scenario here, but we go to an hour 23:30 now.
Sheesh.
We see Timo's Coochie. Not sure how much stacks this Nasus was on at this time, but just runs down Soka on the side lane. Just a little bonk, bonk, bonk. DKing.
yep.
And I think that was a
Justice for
crucial
ADCs.
play.
Yeah, yeah, that's a massive, massive pick there onto Soka, cause like low key, there's a lot of really good synergy between Katarina and Mumu. The fact that he boosts
Yeah.
magic damage received.
Yeah.
Well, not
They're
only
able to
that,
turn that
but
into a Baron.
huge part of the gold is too, right? So like to your point about turning it into a Baron, like half of their contesting power is basically gone just with that Katarina kill.
Hmm. Yeah, and this Baron
Yeah.
was the one that ended the game here. Um, he had no
What
towers
was
on.
Elder first? Elder, then
Oh,
Baron. And yeah, Misfits aren't getting away with two miracle fights in a row.
no, no, they are not here.
It was pretty crazy though, like 31 to 17 kills in favor of Misfits on the final scoreline and still losing. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Very rare you see that in any game, but especially at that discrepancy, thought it just really spoke to how well Capachungus were able to navigate the side lane with Timo's Kuchi, playing the map a little bit and really hanging in there. I mean,
Oh,
Lowcats was 12-0 that game, and still lost.
can we can
That's
we
just got to feel brutal.
can we
Oh
talk
yeah.
about here at like 29:05 on this Elder? How well Campbell just played this.
So 129.05 or just 29.05?
No, no, 129:05.
Oh, okay, on the YouTube video. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, he has vision of how I met my ADC, stuns him against the wall, and then just pelts him away from Elder, so there's zero chance of steals. Like, absolute beautiful poppy play on there.
Yeah, normally I would say like if I'm the support, I'm willing to die for that Elder. But like the way that these fights have been going, I feel like him keeping his health up and staying alive was actually crucial as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I just was sitting there just kind of like going through the end fights here, letting it play out. But yeah, Campbell played this game just masterfully on his poppy. So, but yeah, Elder and the Baron, and then that's all she wrote for the game too.
Love to see the double moon played on the Poppy too. Like any champion that just like wants to run into a spot where they like position relative to you, that always feels so good to have that extra move speed.
Yeah, double
Yeah,
moon plate.
man, Swifty boots.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the Swifties.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta go fast.
the
Yeah,
Sanic build.
cat Cats gets a kill at the end, 12-0 and 8, and still loses the game. That's a feels bad.
Wait, it's a blue short furry. It really is just Sanic.
Well, we're gonna go over to game 3 here. Um, looking at this draft, we see Zach making another appearance here, and overall, I really do like this comp for Misfits here. This is a bunch of go buttons here.
Oh, I fully agree.
So I looking at the draft here, I like the lovers duo bot lane, but this is something I actually kind of have heard differences on. What's your guys' take on Spellbook on support here?
like, do I think it's good or do I want to use it?
Well, both.
Um, as long as the pros are picking it, I have to assume that it's relatively good. If used correctly. Uh, the question is at this level of play, like, if you're used to it, right? If you know how to navigate those summoners and like if you can use your TP effectively when you have that one up, um, then I think it's pretty good. But if you're not used to it, right? If you're not going to take full advantage of what that rune can give you, especially like even like having like that access to double smite, for instance, um, then I think you just kind of lose all of the value that you would otherwise get out of it, and then you might as well just take something else. So it basically
I
depends. If
like
if
that.
Campbell
Yep.
uses it well, I think it's great. If he doesn't, then probably should have went something else.
Yeah, I think you touched on the two biggest points of Spellbook for me at least is the only scenarios where it's good is if you can successfully use the TP and the double smite part of it. So it is especially prevalent in metas where there's more lane swapping and map movement. That way you can utilize the TP and kind of create advantages that way. And or more late game based metas where things are going to come down to those crazy objectives at the end of games, and you want to have that extra layer of security in the double smite. I've run it a few times in the past when I played a little more map heavy rotating style. I do think it's only going to work on a select few champions at this level. Rakan is one of them. Braum would be the other. I don't think you're going to be running it on any other sort of meta support. Those are the two you can get away with it.
I would
And
say
in a
Bard
lane
can use
like
it as well.
this, Bard, yeah, that's true. Bard can just do anything, man.
Yeah, I think he should be the standard. If your build diversity is better than Bard's, then you need to be changed.
Yes. Oh yeah. In this lane especially though, you're not under. Rakan usually wants to go like Guardian. When you're not under massive all-in kill threat, which you shouldn't be from a Braum Jinx, then you kind of have the green light to go for it. So I'm all right with it out of Campbell.
I actually want to touch on this Braum Jinx a little bit here, because one thing I like about the pairing is so not only is Braum really good at like stopping champs that like want to run into you, like the Pantheon or even the Rakan. Rakan, if you tag him with a Q when he's like ulting, it feels so miserable as the Rakan. But so he's great at protecting the Jinx, but then he's also because of his passive and Jinx's range with the rockets on her Q, you can really threaten a lot of abuse in the lane, even if it's not like a full all in. Like if you get that stun off, like you do just get a lot of free damage out of it. But I also think that, like traditionally, Braum, again, not a great engaged champion. But when you have the Zac and the Malphite and the Vex all in front, like you can kind of use your ult in the same way that Renata can. Traditionally, it's good at people running into you, but it's also pretty solid follow up. And as I'm saying that, I'm watching them get 2v2 killed by
The 2v2 kill.
Campbell and Golden there.
Yeah, Campbell and Golden look very good as a bottom lane. I'm not sure what your rankings are, but I have them
Um, I
pretty much top of the
given
line.
the matchup, like if I'm including the week 2 matchup that we had against them, then I have to give them the edge. But like if I take my bias out and just say ignoring my bot lane, I would say they're probably the best bot lane in the league.
Yeah. So, and you guys definitely have the right to put yourself up there, Pens and Bird.
Appreciate that.
I think you guys are right there. It obviously just sucks because you guys haven't played since week two, and the teams have been evolving so much game by game. Like every week, had a few upsets in the past few weeks, and that's really thrown everyone for a loop. But the two v
Yeah,
two
I
kill in
still
the
don't know how
bot
to
lane,
get half of those.
it's crazy. This draft is beautiful. You touched on how Misfits do like to go for this crazy team fight wombo combo, and this is very exemplary of that. You have Malphite Zac, so even with the anti-dive pick in the Zaya, I think generally one of the safest AD carries into dive. You
Yeah,
can only, Featherstorm one ability here, whether it's the Malphite ult, and then you still have Zac coming over top, Vex coming over top, and really Jinx is a backline threat this entire time too. So just a great draft. Malphite into Wukong too is a great pick. Malphite does magic damage and builds armor, so really Wukong's two weaknesses there, because Wukong's passive relies on building up some passive armor. Malphite can just ignore that since most of the damage is magic. So classic counter pick there that just slots into the team very
I
well.
don't imagine that this would have been much better, but how would you have felt if they flexed the Pantheon top and put the Wukong in jungle instead?
I wouldn't have minded it. I don't know what Shampoo looks like. I know Pha has played the Pantheon quite a few times, but I think it would have been better because I have a little bit of top lane experience, and that matchup is just no fun for the Wukong to play. You
I
really just
believe
have
it.
no chance once Malphite starts to stack up a little bit of armor. And, he's taking the Comet, he's playing lane dominance, and Molliford really gets the upper hand onto the Wukong there. I think Pantheon, at least you have a chance to fight back early, play around with your high base damages, and then play the map. So
Yep.
that would have been actually an interesting angle to see out of them.
Actually, I'm gonna hold on to this thread for one more second. I'm gonna cook a little bit. You actually, I think you put Pantheon mid, Aurora top, and Wukong jungle. That's the last I'll say on
Even better, actually. Then it's
it.
just Champool things, but like, yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
that
for
could
sure. It
actually
depends on
work.
the players for sure.
We just keep cooking. Oh my goodness, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you have Aurora into Malphite. Good thought.
Yep. I I'm with it. But
Like Caster Chris draft read strikes again.
Yeah, until Pantheon tries to W and just gets W'd by Vex.
yeah, it's I mean, Vex is Vex. I'm not a big fan,
Your
but
favorite champion, right, TLT?
it's the favorite champion that everybody loves to remind me on. But yeah, no, Vex Pantheon. It's perfectly fine for the Vex, but she can match Rome. But that Pantheon can match, but he has way more access to like MR on the first second back, even if you're super worried about like Hex Drinker. I honestly thought Pantheon even in the jungle could go Hex Drinker, and you could have made a case for the Wukong because it's triple magic damage topside. So uh, there's definitely some uses there.
Yeah, and the Vex gets ahead. I mean, we keep seeing so much Vex, and it's honestly succeeding. I don't know if that's. I wouldn't say that's on part of the Vex. I think it's just part of better team play from the people who select it.
I just want
First, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to highlight that, like, roughly around the 5 minutes, like, I was talking about how Misfits have been getting onto these objectives early, but this game, I think largely probably due to the prio that Sunset and Amoeba had in their bot lane, but they actually managed to get to the Drake. They managed to beat Misfits out and just narrowly avoided having to get sandwiched into the pit when they made their way out with the dragon. So good on them to respond.
Yeah, I think definitely the bot lane prio. That's what I was gonna bring up too. If we go to about hour 54:40, the YouTube video. Now that's skipping a little bit ahead past the dragon, but we see a 2v2 bot lane break out. Start of a very long kind of skirmish here. Campbell falling pretty low. Great kite back from both bot lanes here. Campbell flashing out of the Jinx rocket. And then the Zac, how I met my ADC, walking down the river the whole time. Some heroics from Golden Sunset in the
Oh
midst of
yeah,
it all to trade it back. But I think this was kind of the start
massive
of,
flash.
yeah, the start of the downfall for this Capuchungus bot lane. It was great by Misfits to pour resources down there and try to shut it down.
Oh yeah, it was a nice attempt here. Oh, Golden Sun actually does get one back. So
It was a beautiful flash.
oh, yeah, that it was. Zaya players that like know how to
Spectacular
flash that
Zac.
pullback is crazy. I know we've seen Penz's Capadre Bird pull that off a few times. I think Shreets had a couple of good ones earlier in the season. Yeah, but
Oh, and it's super unfortunate because Zac was just out of vision charging up that E when the Zaya flashed. So had they had vision of him, they didn't even have to go for that.
hmm
Didn't even notice that on first watch through. Yeah. I mean, this was a very tight series. Like so many of these fights were on thin margins. I think Golden Sunset mechanically is very strong. Really good at kind of navigating Knife's edge of these fights. At a certain point into this dive comp, it's just Knife. There's no edge, but in the mid game, really able to pull out on top of some of these skirmishes alongside Fa and Campbell.
Yeah, Fuzz, like him and Golden Sunset, I think are the two engines for Capachungus, and I think Campbell just like adds a modifier onto them on whatever he plays here. Because I mean, I'm seeing at the 23-minute mark, Foe 5-1 and 1 on this Pantheon. Like he's having a really solid game.
Well timed W from their con to stop the. I don't know what point you guys are at. I'm just watching at 12:30, just a little bit before that. But there's a beautiful recon. What grand entrance? Whatever the knockup is to interrupt Zach out of his dive attempt on the
Campbell
on Golden Sun.
Campbell did that so much this game, where he was able to interrupt the Zach.
Like it's one thing to do it with the
A
like
few like
Poppy W or Alistar Q, but you got a bit of time that you have to like actually like worry about. Um, it's not just like instant.
oh yeah. I mean it may I'm not gonna downplay it. On my end, canceling those are like it's 50% of the time it's just gonna be luck. But Campbell's micro is he always pulls out something impressive every series, it feels like.
Y-
Mm-hmm.
yep. Though I'm over here at the 24-minute mark. Looks like we're posturing for Dragon here. This is, you know,
Show I want to highlight before we jump too far ahead. 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds. We
209.40.
see we see the dive comp, maybe a little before then. We see the dive comp get to work for Misfits. I mean, they just get the Jinx set up beautifully, knock down the Wukong. Malphite comes on in, Zac comes on in, Vex comes on in, and there's really nothing Golden can do. He already used the Feather Storm earlier, and the dive is just crazy here. They just press go, and it's wrap. It's just comp diff here.
Oh my goodness. That's even with Campbell like absorbing the entire Jinx rocket by himself too.
Yeah, and that turns things into third Drake from Misfits.
I think my
So
favorite thing about this fight though is if you go back to the start of it, I just want to highlight when they first start this pick on Timo. Um, watch how Vex and Rigor, the Braum and the Zac are all standing in front of Lolcat. So there's basically like no way that this Jinx is ever going to be threatened. So she's just able to free fire that entire first pick.
yeah,
Well, Sokka moves back to the tower, but like they do a really good job of setting up their structure in such a way that the people that you want to target can't get hit, and the people you want to fire can fire.
yeah, yeah. I can see that. Um, no, yeah. This comp's pretty friggin' dirty. Zephex has six
yeah,
kills,
that's I
two
think that's
items.
the biggest point is they know when to pull the trigger, and obviously Lowcats is on more traditional AD carries. It's a mix of Lowcats positioning and the rest of the team positioning, but mostly I think the rest of his team setting himself up very well, keeping their AD carry safe. We've seen I think Lowcats had a Caitlyn pentakill where it's like similar situations. They just know how to play around their AD carry and enable some success from that part of the map. Even though the Jinx isn't necessarily, ahead in this game.
It's just good. It's the other side of like Jinx. You gotta wait for her to chop down like a big tank, get a reset or something like that. This is like the other side of it where everybody presses R. Jinx just launches her rocket somewhere into a team fight, and all of the residual damage from the engage is going to get her to proc the passive. So she's already starting the bulk of the fight with passive
Video
going,
wheel and scope her.
and uh, and then can just run over team fights. Oh yeah, there we
You know, it's just playing against Malphite,
go.
Zac, and Vex. That's terrifying.
Yeah,
Game drags out though. Like I feel like not too much happens from that initial dive fight we saw. So another 10 minutes later, I don't know if this is jumping too far ahead, but Misfits they get the Dragon Soul, Cloud Soul, not necessarily the strongest here, but always nice to have. And then they're honestly not too far ahead, only like 4 or 5,000 gold, which past 30 minutes doesn't mean too much. But if we look at About 2 hours 18, 50 seconds in. I think this is the steal you were talking about, where Pantheon gets the Grand Starfall off and snakes it away. Keeps Capachungus in it.
I've seen that part as well.
Oh,
If I
Two
recall
eighteen
nice.
correctly,
fifty.
he was posturing up that river that whole time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's tough. There's nothing you could really do about it. By the time he landed, Baron was at like 2K. So you got to
Yeah.
try to finish it. And Pantheon does have the stronger smite, but still, I mean, crazy heroics from Fa. I know.
I do remember watching that part, and they made that big play on bot side. They showed so many people, which is why they started out the bear in the first place. But I really did like the response where like even if they feel like they can't contest, they can move the Pantheon up the river close enough to do it. And that's kind of like, in my opinion, if you're behind and you don't think that you can actually like contest an objective without just getting wiped, just send your if you need that objective, like if it's like game breaking, send your jungler in to just die for it.
Side steal. Yeah, that's what I like to call it. Like you know you're gonna lose anyway, so might as well just go for something crazy. And the crazy works here. They get Baron. Fast forward a few more minutes, 1 more minute actually, going to like 2:19:20. Misfits are trying to answer back, after killing the Pantheon and Wukong still being down, getting a few kills, but Golden Sunset pops off this fight. He's able to hit untouched just because the abilities were blown on the front line of Capachungus this time. Zaya able to kind of free hit, and they really turn what it's a 3v5, and Golden Sunset's really the only damage here. Keeps the team alive for a little bit longer. And they do have the Baron, and it's just another long game.
That's just because we like the casters to get tired, you know.
Oh, they
Yeah,
were.
we know.
We definitely know. You kept both of us up quite a bit on the next series.
Yeah, I'm still getting over that.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll be able to talk you through it. But first, looking at Elder fight, after all that back and forth with Baron, 2 hours 22 minutes in now. Not really skipping ahead at all, but this was another crazy back and forth Elder fight. Eyes on Golden Sunset this fight. This guy's micro can be absolutely insane at times. He flashes the Malphite ult, flashes forward though onto Soka to keep free hitting, kills the Vex mid dash, and after the front line's down, Lolcats really can't do enough to get a reset on the Jinx. And big ups to the Capachungus 80 carry there off of that fight.
Oh, they played that so well.
Right, those death timers are long. There have to be some heroics coming for them to not end up. Oh no, I see. I was thinking they could have just marched down mid there.
I think I was
Just taken
calling
the
for an end in the cast.
would have been close. I don't hate the elder call, but
Yeah, it's always tight, right? Like one of the things I've struggled with is like when you have scenarios like this, going for the end and not getting it with Nexus towers respawning now, it can be game losing.
oh yeah.
So I respect the Elder call, but it's like, ooh, what if
And there are
maybe?
some games too where like the game just it doesn't feel as late as it is. Like I've definitely played a couple games where like it's late enough that oh my goodness, like death timers are 50 minutes. We've already like got the wave at the inhib. We can end, right? And you watch it back, and like, this happened to us in week 3. But like I watched it back, and I was like, why didn't we just win here? And we just went straight over to Drake, and it's just like I remember not even noticing. Like I remember thinking it's like, oh yeah, like the game's not early enough for that. Like and not even like checking the timers, which was insane.
Yeah, I'd say 2020. Because they do have the Elder, which is still a powerful game-ending buff, but
Yeah, and they just won a
more
fight to
heroics.
get it too, right? So if you can win a fight without Elder, you'd think that with it you should be able to as well.
Yeah, it was really just some heroics out of Soka, and then Golden Sunset getting caught out in the crucial last team fight. If we go to 22240,
Are you saying he picked up a thing or two from me?
potentially. It's a little more crucial on 80 carry though. But Pilk gets caught out by the Vex ulti. Vex just one shots him.
Sorry,
Jinx
did you say
Rocket comes through to finish off
22240?
the job. 22240. Or 224 22440. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was that elder fight. I have all of these little timestamps, and they're all pretty much blending together because they're right next to each other.
Solid prep work.
I try. It's a lot of games, but I
He's the
feel
goat
like
for a reason.
gotta at least pay attention to a few of the fights, pick up what I can. But yeah, that Vex ult catches out Pilk just way off to the side, and then Golden Sunset was there without the support of his team. I think just walking up. I think it's fair to say you think you're safe there, walking up to the
Right.
tower without seeing any enemies, but then the pounce comes through, and this is where the Xayah can only ulti one dive factor. So ultis the Zac Elastic Slingshot and still gets caught out because team is just not there to follow up and is found in a bad position. Jinx traps come down, and without the Xayah, without the Aurora, obviously Misfits are quite comfortable there. They pick up some inhibs, pick up Baron, and I believe from there are just able to kind of walk it in.
Yep.
Yep, it appears so. Which Kappa's comp is not really that great against Baron minions. But yeah, they end up walking it in and taking this clutch series here from Kappa Chungus. So Misfits kind of doing the reverse caster curse where they're beating everybody above them but lost everybody below them.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so
Team that plays Misfits next, do you have kind of thoughts that you want to share going into that matchup?
I don't want to give away too much of anything that I'm prepping. I have to say I'm a little bit more confident that I've got a read on their power level now, as opposed to like halfway through when they had first like taken the game off of Bop It.
Yeah.
I was sitting there wondering. I was like, is this a fluke? Did they play it really well? Did Bop It slump? Like, what's going on, right? Because my read was that Bop It and Kapachungas were the best teams in the league, and I kind of had Misfits like middle, maybe a little bit below half. Um, and at this point, having watched back this game a little bit more closely, or seeing parts of it a second time through, um, I I gotta say they look like a pretty solid team, and I do think that we are gonna have to really bring our A game if we want to win. I definitely think that there's some things that we can prep that hopefully will be exciting, but I don't think it's gonna be a free win at all, and I think we got to be careful.
Yeah, be exciting. But 2-1 victory for Misfits, a big victory too. I mean, these are two of our top dogs, two very likely playoff teams. Obviously, there's still the whole week 7 to sort out. We'll touch on that later, but
I don't
Can't
wanna.
wait
I
for the
think
6-way 4-3.
please
Please.
don't, please don't.
CLT is cheering for that, I'm sure.
No, no, he's not. No, he's not. So we typically have a week before after regular season, but before playoffs, and because of Sweat League and trying to cram this in, we don't. So shit.
The tiebreaker system is pretty robust on Battlefy. I don't think that we'll actually have to do any tiebreaker games. I'd be pretty shocked.
I have my fingers crossed. As much as I would love to see, just a whole second round robin between you guys,
Just make all the top laners do 1v1s for seeding.
well, you would be happy with that, wouldn't you?
What do you mean?
You have one-handed.
Yeah, I know, I
Do they get the ban?
know. Well,
uh,
hmm. We'll cross
well,
that bridge when we get.
well. Speaking of the banning it and everything going on, let's move over to kind of the highlight of the week, the series of the week, and you know, probably the longest series I would think of the split, give or take. So
If I
cast,
could give a
eyes are on his name's
bit of a preamble on this, I'll let you introduce it first.
yeah, we got Caster Curse and Team Solid battle of some former teammates here. A lot of guys that have played some in houses and overall know each other. So I know you probably just want to pass over this first game, but
No, no, the first game's fine. I just coming into this series, so like everything was fine. It's like, oh yeah, we got it scheduled. It's great. Everybody's like good to go. And I find out day of that somebody forgot about a pretty important thing that they had up, and it happens. Like sometimes you miss something or life gets in the way. But I went from being like, oh, I'm excited about the series to, oh my goodness, okay, I got to find somebody to replace this guy. And then the person I found initially was good, and then he's like, oh, actually that might not work. So then I'm trying to scramble, being like, okay, like what time can we make this work? Do we have to delay it? What's going on? And I spent like the entire 5 hours before we finally started just like scrambling, trying to make the game work. So I was I was pretty stressed out this afternoon. And that's not like an excuse. I actually think I played pretty well, but like just coming into this, like I know that it was like probably late for everybody and sucked just to have it delayed for so long, but that's kind of the backstory there.
Yeah, your mid laner was MIA as well.
Yeah, that was also unexpected. I forgot about that bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
do I call him out
You
for what
want
it
to
was?
join?
No, I'm just kidding around. We're all good.
yeah. What like looking at this draft, obviously like you've got two subs here, and
Hmm.
you're up against, I think it would be safe to say, like the one of the two best solo laners in the league with Zelda and Souls here. I'm what's the deal with this Tom Kench?
So coming into this series, yeah, like I think Team Solid is probably one of the hardest teams for us to prep for. At least with the Zelda guy, I'd have to scout their new mid laner now. Um, and part of it is because normally when we come against a team, we can look at, and especially now at this point in the game, we can kind of look at the lanes and be like, okay, we are confident that we can win on X part of the map, right? And so we can just play strong through that, and we can focus on that. And against Team Solid, like they kind of live up to their name. They're solid everywhere. Like I do think that we've got a bit of an edge bot lane, but they're very good at neutralizing in my experience, and they're really good, especially like outside of lane, of playing that 5v5 around giving V7 a champion who can fire over top of the team and just put out a ton of damage in the mid to late game. Um, so there's not really a clear avenue for us to win except for just to play better. Um, as far as the Kench pick, that was something that we had started prepping. We wanted to get shoot, well, I'm forgetting his in-game name, one-handed. Um, we wanted to get one-handed on a few more champions besides just the Trundle and the set that could kind of play his style. And Kench was one of the ones that he was trying out that he was really liking. Um, so we picked it here, thinking it was either that or something else that we wanted to like still have the capacity to protect the Kog'Maw. And the team and Reach or sorry, one-handed was favoring the Kench, so we brought that one in. Ended up not working out. I I don't want to make excuses. I do think he was having a bit of an off day, but Souls is also a really really good top laner, so like I definitely don't want to take any credit away from him there. But that was the idea of the Kench. So it's like it helps him to play his style a little bit still, while at the same time giving Kog'Maw some protection.
Yeah, I think the Volibear matchup is just really good. Volibear into Tom Kench, like because it nullifies everything Tom Kench wants to do. So
Yeah,
that was really just kind of a tough one from the get-go, and not sure, how comfortable one-handed is on the matchup. But you kind of have to fight as Tom Kench. It's not really a pick you can sit back and farm as easily on, like something like a Scion or an Ornn and those other tanks. So almost forced into those scenarios and a bit of a rough game one, but obviously it's with all those conditions, it was probably smoother than I expected, at least in terms of how things went. Do you have any thoughts
I,
on? I know Zelda guy's out of it now, but the Zelda guy kind of goofy picks here with the Vel'Koz. How was prep for that?
it didn't surprise me. Like I know he plays it, and it's one of the things that like normally I would be like at least considering, even if I'm not going to ban it. It's definitely something I want to like make sure that I'm aware of as a possibility. But like I know like Zelda guy is gonna pick like whatever the heck he thinks is gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be really really good for the lane, or this is gonna be good for our team comp or whatever. He is going to like make the draft hard, and that's just kind of like part of the reality of playing against him. So the Vel'Koz itself, I didn't feel like was like, oh, this really like makes the game suck for us. It was more of the fact that like it got an early kill, but then it's his rotation. I know that I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, but his rotation up to that grub play where they ended up getting a triple kill on this for the Volibear. I feel like that was just because like Vel'Koz landed a massive like 2 or 3 man ult and just completely turned that play on its head because up until that point, my team was like, "Oh yeah, we're good, we got the grubs, and we're coming out on top." And I'm thinking to myself, "It's like, oh great, we're off to a good start." And all of a sudden, I see triple kill, and it's not on my team, and I was like, "Oh no, that doesn't feel so good anymore."
Yeah, that really did you guys in. That's about 30 minutes in CLT if we want to jump to that.
No,
I
I'm
don't think
talking
it's
about
a jump at
oh,
all
30
either.
minutes onto the YouTube video, you mean?
Yep.
I was
Yeah,
like, it
30
wasn't
minutes
that
to
late in
two.
the game.
The 30-minute grub take. You guys have the initial collapse, so I understand why it looks good. One-handed gaming kind of playing that, forcing Velkoz's flash out in the mid lane with this last-minute substitute Jackie roaming in. And then the initial collapse looks all right, 3 versus 2 on the onset, but enough time able to be bought with the Wukong ulti. The Malzahar ulti, I don't know if you saw that. It was
It did
canceled.
get canceled.
Uh,
I think
That
I
I think
also would like
that
to
was
see
the
one-handed
kicker.
alt the jungler here if I'm, not to be too critical of my own team, but like I think that might have also been a possible play-changing move.
Yeah, just a few small micro things, but that really sealed things, at least in the top lane. I know the Volibear 4 and all play, able to just
Yeah.
really start running away with it. Nothing one-handed could do by that point, really, when you're dealing
Well,
with a 10-minute Cosmic Drive Volibear.
when I watched it back, like that does feel like the moment where like this game kind of turned on its head. Like I do think like most games, there's usually a like you can pinpoint like a certain like time at the game where it's like this is like the biggest condition that like made the game a losing game. And I think for this game that was probably the one. It's not that we can't play it out after, but uh, I think that was probably like the biggest nail in the coffin.
Yeah, agreed. And one-handed still managed to get another solo kill onto Souls with the classic Tom Kench spin under tower, but that's
Yep.
still just a small little dent. And with the
Rip that guy.
Vel'Koz a
That's
little bit
really
ahead
big.
too, Sivir able to just kind of scale up. It was a really tough game for the Kog'Maw Emilio to pilot.
Yeah, I remember the lane assignments get a little bit janky too. I don't remember at what point, but I think I roam up to mid for a play, and we get like Kazlan has a really good Malzahar alt on an overchasing Wukong, where we get the kill on him like right by the tower. But after that, it's kind of me and Cog just stuck in mid lane watching Zelda guy just like completely blow up the minion wave on repeat. And normally, like at that point in the game, it's like great, support's mid, and I can affect the map, and I can like move to whatever's gonna happen. But at this point, it's like, no, I have to stay here and make sure that bird doesn't get like one comboed, so he can farm safely, and we can't even like push into mid tower to get it because it's Vel'Koz just insta clearing the wave, and he's sitting pretty on a full item or more at that point in the game.
Yeah, I think with how far ahead Volibear got, this was always going to be just a really tough game. That's why that Grubs fight was little the turning point because you still have Sivir Vel'Koz wave clear, so your win condition is maybe the Kog'Maw Melio, but it's so easily nullified by Sivir just pressing W and then clearing the whole wave. And obviously, you on Melio can't really roam around and impact the map at all, so you're bleeding out on sides and not really getting anything in the mid lane, and that seemed to fortunately do you guys in pretty early.
So that's a point I actually do want to contest slightly. Um, I think that people undervalue enchanter roams a lot. Um, and like I could get into like why I think it can be good, but like overall, I think yes, like your point is still like generally like correct. Like I wasn't able to move onto the map. I just think it was more because I had to handhold the Kog'Maw, which is part of the like that lane pairing in general. Um, but I do think that like if I was able to get out to the side before things are completely blown open, like I think enchanters can still have a really big impact.
Yeah, I think for me at least, it's more so like pairing up with jungler than it is side lane, if that makes sense. Like
Okay, yeah.
getting wards and then roaming. It's obviously not going to happen this game because of, game state wise with the volley bear and even the Udyr just being pretty far behind, not able to bolster things up. But I can understand that, and I'm sure there's a lot more depth you can go into to convince my ways a little bit too.
Mhm.
Well, and I also don't always have correct takes, so like I'm open to being wrong.
Nah, no such thing.
You're right. I'm always right. You figured you found it, you heard it here first, people.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, this
went over that mid lane play. Um,
Is that the one where I ran into the middle of 4 people like a moron?
no, this was the Kazulan Malzalting Wukong into the turret, and then one-handed came in and grabbed souls, threw him under the turret, and then was just kind of, you know, the play ended after that. But you guys climbed back. You're only 1,000 gold down at 14 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you guys have really really tough access on the Vel'Koz Sivir. I mean, we're seeing a lot of these fights that I remember watching in this game one where Volley Bear was diving in and then instantly getting Lulu ulted. When you're using Lulu ult offensively, you know you're pretty far ahead.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's wonderful as a Lulu player to be able to do that. Just like, oh, I get to extend engage, but like, um, yeah, when there's no answer to threaten the backline where you're able to freely do that, it is like to your point, like it does show a lot of one-sidedness here.
Yeah. So, kind of skipping ahead. Let's see. Oh, missed a fight here. Looks like you guys are posturing for Otacon here at about 23 minutes
You
game
got the
time.
the YouTube time on there?
It is 44 minutes 15 seconds.
44.
Yeah, where they picked off Kazulan and then Jackie kind of got picked off after that, and it just snowballed the fight from there. Um, Again, we kind of, I mentioned that using the Lulu ult offensively, it just once you guys got behind, it was very hard for you to just walk into anything. Excuse me.
Well, yeah, and like our comp is basically like the backline has to deal the damage or we're not going to win, right? So like if our front line is dying before their front line, like we just don't get to play the game. And I don't mean we as the bot lane. I mean we as a team. Like there's not really anything we can do if our front line is weaker. So at this point in the game, I think um, Team Solid did a really good job of putting us in a position where we can't really play, and they just never let us get back into it from that.
Well, we see
An unfortunate game one.
yeah, yeah, we kind of seen where this going. They end up picking up the soul, 4 straight dragons, and there was just not much you guys could do. So, but yeah, going into game two though, you had full lineup here, and they kind of gave you, all the champions you guys wanted here. As we see, the Trundle comes out for one-handed. Again, why no one bans that is beyond me. Um,
Like there've been a couple players who show that they can beat it in lane, but I think the issue is like one, he's really good on it in lane, and two, even if you do end up like putting it behind, like he's still gonna be really comfortable as a player on this champion, like in the mid to late game. And he is gonna be able to find these really big plays for us that are just going to turn the game. Like again, even the games where he's been behind, it's still happened where he still manages to get a bit of gold here or there, and manages to find like I don't know like a really insane pillar mid lane or something that just starts off like a really good fight for us, and then we don't have to win off of him in the side lane. We can win off the Trundle in the mid lane too. It's great. Um, but yeah, to your point, I am a little bit shocked that we have been allowed to take it every series.
yeah, and then
I want to touch on
sorry, go ahead.
the Vayne pick.
I was heading that direction.
Perfect. Some insight there?
Yeah, sure. One, I don't generally force my teammates to like pick anything. Like if they're like if it's like, oh, I really feel this, like I will, I'll give push and pull if I think it's like good or bad. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like veto a pick. Like unless like if Crosus decides it's time for like Yumi mid, which is another CLT favorite, I think.
Hmm?
Um, I'm just messing with you. I'm gonna veto that, right? But like as long as I think no, I can. There's actually function to this and it can work. I'm gonna let it happen. And the
Yeah.
Vayne, so
Trust your
one, Wizbird
players.
is calling for it. Two, while they don't have like the tankiest front line, it's pretty good into the Cassante. It's also got a positive win rate into Jinx. So like if you care about those stats, that's helpful. Um,
Oh, it does.
and it's
Oh,
just
okay.
something he's pretty confident on. So like we kind of figured we could make it work. Um, with Galio standing in front of the Pike, I don't really think that any ADC is going to be too threatened. The Jinx rockets are like kind of the biggest issue in this lane, and maybe if like the traps came through over the Pike Q, which I don't recall happening.
Nope.
Um, but But yeah, no, I think we were just confident that we would be able to answer the Jinx with the Vayne, and even if lane wasn't going to be like a stomp for us, we were just, I we kind of figured we'd be fine to play it out later.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I was a little hesitant on it just because of lane factors. Obviously, it scales, phenomenally, but looking at the lane, you already have the Galio and the Pike, which is going to be a great matchup for the Galio, and then
At
the
least
Vayne
after you get
just
your
kind of
first
seemed
clock armor.
like that's true. But after that, it was like the Vayne, like, may struggle into the Jinx a little bit, but I think you guys got out of lane plenty fine, so obviously all worked out. And Bird went off this game, but that's very far in the
Oh yeah.
future.
Hmm.
And some spicy picks too. Crosus with the Sky
Echo once
runs
again.
the Dark Seal refillable Ignite Electrocute. That's a classic. I love that. It's throwing down the gauntlet, calling out Zelda
CLT, I know
guy.
you've got a comment you want to say here about that refillable.
Go on.
Refillable without TP.
I still don't understand that. I feel like if you're gonna be coming back from base more often, you're gonna have more chances to use it. But I do see the point of where if you think you're gonna be out longer, it makes sense. But
I just I really actually like what Team Solid drafted here. I'm not the least bit thrilled of Vayne into Annie Fiddlesticks. But I do think Vayne has ways of playing this game through the Gallia, through the Trundle. I think honestly, the fact that you guys are the only ones playing Ivern is
well,
quite.
I think Bob got an Ivern too.
Has Bobby played Ivern? Well, you guys
I
consistently at
did
least go
against
to it.
Capatungus in week 1.
Oh, okay. 5 weeks ago. Um,
It's a standout game, okay?
but no, I this Ivern pick. I know you guys have played it before. I think that's the glue for this comp, honestly. And that overall helps Vayne be able to play the game. Um, Even though we can talk about the shopkeeper uh, stuff here in a little bit, but the fact that he got Crosus on the board with a nice gank early. He got tempo ahead of the Fiddlesticks and just can overall shield Vayne from a lot of this damage coming its way. Um, but has like secondary ways of playing the game through the Echo and through the Trundle. I think is clever. I do love it when you guys play the Ivern because you normally pair some really good stuff around it.
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty good pick for us. I will say like the one downside, which the shielding kind of shorts it up a bit, but with how much I've been playing enchanters this season, it does mean that we're pressured to put frontline summer, right? So we either kind of like sack our draft a little bit if we take the Ivern and put me on an enchanter, or we've got to put like one-handed on something tanky. So like this game, I've got the Galio and he's got the Trundle, and I feel like that's enough. But it does make some of the drafts harder if we're looking for it.
Yeah. Well, what was your kind of just take going through this game? Because I mean, you see your mid lane gets 3 kills. Bird gets a few kills out of bot lane. You must be feeling pretty good about this game. Um, up until Fiddle Annie just start putting in work.
I don't recall ever feeling threatened by the Fiddlesticks Annie. I think the real issue that we had this game, like we were in pretty solid control, I'd say at like the midpoint, or well, what maybe should have been the midpoint, I guess. Um, but the problem was a lot of the plays we made, we just left side lanes like unattended. Like there's gonna be a play later on around, I can't remember if it's Grubs or Herald. I think it's Herald, where Bird gets the wave pushed in and starts roaming up his Vayne, which is fine, right? And a play pops out and he or like pops up in mid when he gets there, so he thinks he has to stay around. Um, and he ends up not being needed. But the issue is while he's hovering around there for us, Jinx gets the full tower bot lane because she just came back from like getting killed or something, and just shoves the wave and gets the full tower unanswered. And sure, we get mid off of it, but like we just gave up a tower for free. And the same thing happens on top side later. We make a play, and our top laner's got DP. And again, I'm not saying this to call out one-handed, But he thought he had time to walk down to the tower, and they ended up getting it in time. And then on top of that, you guys will probably recall that was when he went for the 1v1 against Cassante, and Jinx hit him with the rocket from across the map.
I do
So
remember
just like a
that.
lot of little
Yeah.
plays like that, where we just gave up free towers on the side lane, I think was the main reason that we struggled to close out this game. I don't think it was a matter of control or how the lanes went. I think it was just how we played the map. I think was subpar from what we would normally expect of ourselves. And again, that's not to like take away from Team Solid's gameplay. I think they were very, very respectable opponents, and again, did a really good job in the 5v5, especially with like how they played around Vader, or V7 for those of you who don't know.
Mm, today I learned.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, touching on the point of the side lane, Trundle is not really ahead in the side lane, so you don't have that same avenue that you maybe normally would have in the top lane. And then Echo
For sure.
seems to be playing the map a little bit more, and especially on the Vayne, you don't have that same. I think you don't have the same pressure to push in mid lane and try to make plays like I've seen you guys do on picks like Lucian Nami that do
No, I think I agree.
control those more neutral lanes better. But enough of the bad stuff. We can look at 145-30. Uh, that was one of the team fights of the game for sure. Around the second Drake, you guys picked that up pretty cleanly. Once again, though, Team Solid just did a really good job of playing the map. This Cassante in the top lane, getting the tower,
Oh, he
and
like kind
then
of panic
ended
ulted
up
for
walking on
Crows there.
down. But this whole fight is 4v5, and getting the pick onto 7 first. Massive Fiddlesticks ulti looks like it may be able to turn things on the backside, but Bird's still able to stay untouched. Kroos is able to stay alive with the chrono break, and massive fight coming through for the Caster Curse squad. Big swing
Yeah,
of
I just
gold
want to highlight
there.
something from that fight actually. So initially when I go in, and we get the pick onto Jinx, I'm thinking, great, ADC's down. Next target is mid lane. That's the other person that I would like maybe want to exhaust. I don't want Annie to blow up anybody. So I get the exhaust on Annie. I'm like thinking, this fight is so won, completely forgetting about the Fiddlesticks, who's already channeling his
Kaka!
ult over the wall. And I see that, and I was like, I hope I didn't just throw this fight with that exhaust. So thankfully the team was able to pick it up there.
Yeah, I think that was just a pure numbers thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys were tracking the Cassante TP, but without the Cassante TP there's no front line on the side of Team Solid. So yes, they did get the tower with some good map play there, but just a better fight execution coming out of the Caster Curse squad there. So that was good to see. And that kind of takes us after that fight into mid late game where remember just a lot of picks going back and forth.
I feel like the series had
Otacon
a
going
lot of
over to
stages of
Caster
late game.
Curse. Yeah, it's like I don't know how to break down games that, go like that where it's just kind of like, yeah, it's late game,
It's
but
late
it's not
game one,
really
late
late
game
game.
two, late game three.
There you go. Yeah. Just a lot of side lane fights back and forth while gold stayed relatively even. So, with an entertaining watch for me in CLT.
It was a fun series to play.
Oh, I bet. So,
I think one
yeah.
of the more, I'm sure you got your timestamps, so if I'm going ahead of you here, feel free to cut me off. But
No,
there
you're
was
good.
one
This was
fight
the
that I thought
game I
was
didn't actually timestamp as much. So, you take the wheel here.
for sure. I think one of the most like I've rewatched this a couple times because I'm super self-absorbed. But there was a one fight that happened in the bot lane, I want to say, and I'm just trying to find where it is because I don't have any timestamps. Um, I'm gonna have to scrub to find it, unless you know what I'm talking about. It was one where um, I think you had just been talking about how this is gonna be like basically like a fight of ADCs, which I totally agree on, especially with the way this game was shaping out. Um, but
We're at 201,
um,
maybe.
201 maybe that. Let's see. Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, here we go. Thank you. You found it before I did. Where so like this is where I really like the Galio pick aside from just the pike is like I was able to absorb a ton of damage, and I don't mean like oh I as a player was it's just my champion just existed and that was all we needed, right? And we almost turned this fight, but it ends up being this big thing between like the Vayne and the Jinx, and I've watched this back a couple times trying to think of like should we have played this differently? Could we have played this better? And like overall, it just ended up being like both ADCs being like incredibly strong and doing the thing that that ADC wanted to do, right? Jinx wanted to stand there and fire at people who were like trying to like trying to chase into her, and the Vayne really wanted to run people down, and they both did a really good job with that. So I just thought that was a really interesting fight.
Oh yeah, and I mean, leading up to this fight too, like this is the fascinating part of League of Legends late games where both teams are kind of evenly matched is this crazy domino effect. So, we may have to rewind here a little bit, CLT, but
Yeah, for sure.
Croesus is pressuring the side lane here. I mean, even before that. So going to about 2 hours on the dot, a little before, just good map movement setup. You catch out Team Solid pushing up pretty far. Jinx goes down. With that pick, eyes turn towards the Baron. I mean, even before this, Vayne is down, so we're skipping even more dominoes here. But Croesus takes that pick, goes into the bot lane, while the rest of the team is calling for the Baron. So you kind of draw Team Solid in different directions here. And Croesus falls. Caster Curse picks up the Baron with Bird respawning. And that is what kind of leads up to this fight at the bot lane tier 2. Croesus is still down. So the call seems to be to defend the tower. And it looks like a decent fight angle breaks out, because the Galio soaks up so much damage. And from there, the fight, I'm sure we've seen it a few times now. It is really, it's so close. Like these ADCs going back and forth. Bird able to free hit pretty nicely, but ultimately it's Seven who barely manages to get that reset through the exhaust, through the taunt, and with that Jinx passive, able to clean up the rest of that fight.
Yeah, I remember thinking it's like I got the taunt off, we're good, and then it's like, oh, yeah, rockets doesn't matter.
It was tight, man. It was tight. It was so close. And it
I
wasn't even
think
like you guys still
I
came out
think I
on
was calling
top, I
this fight
believe.
off as Bird was trying to go in because I just wanted to keep our Baron buffs and like use that, but I can't remember for sure.
So much chaos. But
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't even like it was a lost fight either. That's the other thing. It turned into a second
just leave it
Drake
up.
preventing Soul. So it was just like that was one of those fights that could have been another game breaker if Jinx falls down there. You still have
Yeah,
Baron on a Vayne and a Galio, and you can really continue to make a push.
yeah, these guys really made us work for the win on this game for sure.
Yep.
Good. Trying to speed through for the rest. Said I don't have this one as time stamped. I
Well,
maybe
I'll follow
foolishly
your
thought I'd.
directions here. I think I've run out of memories on this one. Aside from as long as you catch the pentakill.
Yes, gotta get that one in, right?
Yeah,
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 I think that one.
we're inching our way to that one, yeah. But I see like Croesus putting a lot of pressure in the side lanes, which normally that's one-handed. So the fact that you guys pulled off like this 131, yeah, for the most part, pretty well. I think that's what really helped the game. Though I say that
Oh, the sorry, the QSS on Croesus. We
that's something
were
you'd have to ask him about. I saw a few
okay.
plays where it worked out. He does have a little bit less damage off of it. I understand the argument you made, and I'm sitting there like thinking like to myself like as I'm watching the video back, I'm like, but like if it gets you out of the Annie combo and she burns it, like it's got to be worth, right? And I don't have a good answer for you. I can't say whether I think it's the right call or not. It's just it's not my area of expertise.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't
Just
like it.
wondering if there was any thoughts on that. Yeah, I know we
I don't.
both don't like it.
My
I'm not.
opinion is as long as you can justify your decision, right? Like you don't have to be right to me. What I want to see out of like any player, whether it's like a pro or like an iron player, like if there's intention behind your decision, and if you know why you're doing it, like even if like let's say like CLT, I know you don't like Galio support as much as I do, right? But if I reverse the roles, if I'm you and you're me, like what I want to see out of this Galio support is a reason that it's being picked and then playing to that strength. So like even if it's bad, I want to see the player using what's good about it.
I don't. I don't disagree with it. I think there was a few moments where he died with it up, and it just felt like he just came to this like mental decision of like, okay, I have QSS, but then you can similar to like watching the Galio supports or like supports who play Poppy, you can tell who's not used to it and who is. QSS kind of has the same skill curve, where I feel like
Yeah,
if you're
and like
used to
first time
QSS,
John users in ARAM.
yeah, yeah, um, there's just worlds where if you're not used to it, but you came to the decision to get it, like I understand the logic behind it. I just feel like then if you're feeling like you absolutely need this QSS to play the game, I
Then you
just
actually have to use it.
well, not only do you have to use it, but I just feel like you're almost playing the game wrong because you have a team comp that wants to come into you and play reactionary base, and you're playing your own reactionary base type of champion there. So you could have went like a Banshee's Veil and fought Annie on the side lane, or um, went more of a pen item if you're going to try and keep souls. Because we've seen that in one of these fights. Actually, I think it's coming up here where Crosus did a really great job at keeping souls bot lane and kind of delayed the TP or delayed the rotation. Um,
You got the timestamp for me?
it was this whole sequence here at around like 41:30 game time, YouTube time. It's like
That's
two,
right before the Penta.
Oh, I
yeah,
got
yeah,
it. Yeah.
it's right before like this whole sequence where um, Souls really can't join Team Solid's comp, and so you see Squeezy and you see Zelda having to kind of put themselves up against your guys' front line. Um, and it gives one-handed the ability to just kind of push this mid lane in and get again more prio and just more tempo. Um, I feel like he could brawl more with the Cassante. It ends up working out at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong, um, but just think on like a mid-max level, I don't know if I'm 100% with the QSS.
No,
So
I agree. I don't know if I'm 100% with it either, but I can see intention behind it. And,
yeah.
if he had used it instead of dying with it a couple times more, I think I would like it more.
Hmm.
One thing that this game reminded me of, and I really want to give credit to the bot lane here, because we scrimmed these guys pretty early on, and I think they totally leveled up their game, Squeezy and Seven specifically. But one thing they did very well, even in this game where we won, is they made it very hard for us to control vision. They made it very hard for us to um, get the information that we wanted, and part of that is, like, to me, I think that's what Squeezy does best on this pike pick, right? Like, I'm not concerned about it in the lane. I know how to play against most pikes, and it doesn't really bother me. Um, but even considering that, like, if I play against these guys again, that is something that I'm gonna have to consider: is do I want to give them this pick where he's just gonna be like that
Umbral.
slippery and that like
Yeah.
good at infiltrating and setting up these wards and denying our own. And that's something they did really well this entire series, not just on the Pike game. But I just wanted to give some props there where it was due.
Yeah, rightfully so. That
Yeah.
Penta was clean though. I mean, just great team fighting out of Caster Curse squad. You have the just pretty much immaculate setup. Souls in front for the Vayne to hit pretty easily. Cyanic not getting the fear onto the Vayne, and then
Oh,
really just wraps from there with the first two down. And
I'm
another
gonna be honest, I
pentakill
wouldn't
for
have
the
even joined
league.
this league if I. Sorry, what? Uh, Sorry, to you're talking about the Penta there. I wouldn't have joined this league if I didn't have Bird, but I was like, I haven't played competitive 5v5 with this guy yet. Like, I met him like, I don't know, like a handful of months prior, and I was like, this is my favorite ADC I've ever played with. So it's like, CLT put the league together. I was like, I gotta try this.
Mm.
There we go. Perfect match. You guys, I feel like you guys complemented each other's play style pretty well too. So
Well,
definitely,
thank you, appreciate it.
I'd say the most fun bot lane to watch because you're pulling out actual lane picks rather than always just opting to scale with something like a Sivir.
Hmm.
We like to have a bit of both for sure. Uh, Being able to answer whatever people throw at us is definitely something that I value, uh, especially in the bot lane.
Well, speaking of some lane picks, moving over to game three here. You got kind of the pick that's been denied from you most of the split in this Karma. Um,
Yeah. Well, it's because nobody wants me to have fun, you know. I can understand, but
yeah, sure. Um, but Team Solid showing this Ziggs pick here. Um, did you think this was going mid, or were you pretty sold it was
no,
bot?
I had done some pretty in-depth scouting, and I saw like absolutely no Ziggs play from Zelda in I don't know how long, but it was like a long time. And so I figured like unless he's got an alternate account that he's playing it on, like I was like, this is going bot. They're doing this to like neutralize the karma, and I'm okay with that. We had something prepared with the Senna, which like isn't gonna necessarily have a ton of kill threat on the Ziggs, um, especially with the Soraka that they ended up picking to heal him up. But uh, it's also not that threatened by the Ziggs, as you touched on. I think it's more so because of the healing and the range rather than the movement speed. Like her access to E is not very high. It takes a while to come through. It's a long cooldown.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, we had that prepped and we used to play it. I think without giving away too much, I actually think that Senna pairs incredibly well with like mage type characters. Having played a lot of hers like support myself, uh, and so this was something that like we hadn't played in a while, but like we used to put it together like quite a bit, and so we were pretty happy with the lane and figured we'd get a lot of stacks out of it if nothing else.
Well, you definitely got plenty of
Yeah,
stacks out of it.
I missed with how late this game went. I know I was a little hesitant on it, just because I like Bird on hyper carries. I feel like he's usually a good win con for you guys, but obviously with the scaling, with the prep, it worked out. I like your point about Senna with mage supports. She's not hyper carry enough to pair up with Enchanter. She's not enough damage early game to want to pair up with Engage. So kind of leaves you with picks like Karma. I think Seraphine's another one that pops to
Yeah.
mind as cringe as it is.
Well, I've done like
Those are the
Senna
type
support
of.
with a farming like Hue as well can feel pretty good.
Oh wow,
Um,
get it real spicy there.
yeah,
Hmm.
I can
we
see
haven't
that.
done that with Bird yet, but no, yeah, like spoilers about this Senna. Like I think it could have had a far bigger impact this game. I think there were a few build choices that went a little bit poorly. I think if Kled had been a little bit less behind from the Renekton, able to survive in the team fights more, I think it could have also like um, balanced out some of the lack of like really quick consistent damage that Senna like doesn't have. But um, the other thing that really got in the way of this comp functioning the way it needs to, and I really want to hand off props to Zelda guy for this pick, is the Nefiri. And I knew he plays it. Like I wasn't like surprised by the pick per se, but like it kind of slipped through the radar a little bit. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, not a surprise, but definitely like something that like I wasn't fully considering, and I'm not looking forward to playing into. And the thing is, like, even if it dives us and we don't die to it, like I took exhaust for that reason, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Mhm.
Um, the problem was that when we're busy dealing with the threat of the Fury, it means that we can't be shielding and healing up our front line. And so it was just like a really good pick that had like really good access into us, and really disrupted the game plan of our draft in general. So again, huge props to Zelda guy for this.
Yeah, Croesus running the gauntlet again with the. I just laugh every time because I love it. It's so egotistical. It's just in the best way. Another Ignite Dark Seal refillable electrocute game.
We're
He
players
throws down the
by the
gauntlet.
people for the people.
Oh yeah, this was a fun one too. If the last game was kind of an ADC battle, I feel like this one was between the two mid laners, both running up these assassin picks and really trying to take the games into their own hands.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a fun draft overall.
Yeah, I was here for the mid lane battle here. This is two picks that
What you I thought you guys were thrilled every time it panned down to us just like trading stuff for nothing.
uh
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
sure.
like not getting kills, but like abilities flying back and forth the whole time. That was your favorite part, no?
No, no.
Plus two souls. Yay.
No.
No. I think I honestly think this is where I give a lot of credit to Team Solid cuz I they know what type of player Croesus is and what he's going to pick. So having this Nefiri um kind of on deck and ready to play the hands battle on Necrosis, which Zelda's more than capable on this Nefiri of doing, I thought was really clutch. I do give the equal amount of credit back to Croesus, like finding some mid game fights, getting some ults onto the back line and still finding a way to be threatened. But yeah, I for me the sum of this game just came to Souls being the biggest, fattest crocodile you've ever seen. Um,
Yeah, no, for sure. I also think that part of that was our over grouping again. And you know, like with the Kled ult, you want to make plays for sure, and it happens to be top lane in this series. Like I'm not like I think that one-handed gaming is probably like the most visibly impactful player on our team for most of our series. So this isn't like shade against him, but to your point, yeah, him falling behind in levels and Renekton getting pretty fed did also make this game very hard for us. Because again, if our front line can stand up a little bit longer in the fights, then I think we can actually play it out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like most games we see, I think Souls is, in my opinion, maybe the next best top laner besides one-handed. I think you could argue he got the better of one-handed this series, and
No, I don't even
so it
think
was
it's
a
an argument there. I
good
fully
matchup
agree
to
with that.
see. Yeah, it was a good matchup to see between those two top laners, and it was the first time we see one-handed gaming not really. He was playing for the team a lot more, which I think is fine, but it did cost his lane in a lot of the case, and you know, playing that setup style puts you behind, doesn't give you the same side lane presence, and I think it was definitely felt as CLT and you guys mentioned with how things played out.
Yeah, and we've scrimmed them before, right? So like it's not like during that one I think it went a little more one-handed's favorite. I can't remember exactly what the total like series looked like. But um to Soul's credit, like I would argue that he might be up there for best top laner, especially at this point. Like I used to play with him as well, and I know he's incredibly talented uh, as a top laner. And just as a player in general, he's filled out multiple roles in ways that I've really liked before. Um, but but yeah, I would love to play these guys in playoffs and see how it pans out because I think that one-handed could definitely show show some different results versus Souls than he did this game or this series.
Yeah. I don't really have any moments in the early game, mid game to specifically look over. I feel like it was just a lot of back and forth, a few skirmishes here and there. Usually not centered around the bottom lane, usually
Usually not.
featuring mid lane and that Nunu pick. That was a fun pick. I do want to ask, any reason, no one was really going for any early Grievous on your guys' side?
Yeah. Okay. So I hate the fact that this is part of the reason, but like we forgot for a little bit, and by the time that we made that call that oh yeah we should be going for Grievous, there's a Soraka, which again like normally we would be on top of that. I was like okay well I'm Karma, I've got easy access to an Oblivion Orb, I can get that, and like that was around the mid game, but I'm on the support budget, and I think I'd already gotten all of my support item gold at that point, or from all the trading. So like honestly, like trading as much as we did in the bot lane might have hurt the access to Grievous wounds. Um, maybe a bit of a cope take. I'm not saying that was the game difference maker there, but so part of it was that, and then by the time that I had it, it was already pretty late, and that was kind of the point in the game where like I'm only hitting the Fury anyways, like because like she's diving on me
Yeah.
the whole time. Maybe I can hit the Sejuani, but I'm not the person who's actually like accessing the people we're trying to kill anyways. So I think at that point we should have had it on our Senna, who's got this massive range and can just fire over top of everybody anyways. The other thing I will say is Kled does have a little bit of Grievous wounds in his kit with the Q, unless or did they take that out?
They took
I
it
know
out.
he used to have it. Okay, never mind. So I take that back. Um, so I think it should have been on the Senna by the point in the game that we got it. But I also could have just built it earlier, and I totally just forgot and like just kind of like blind defaulted to my usual Shurelya's, which I don't even know if that was that good this game.
I don't think it was.
Yeah,
Um,
I think there are other games where it's better. It didn't really seem like it got a lot of value this one.
yeah, I also think Shirelius then puts the pressure onto Zelda to have to force himself to build Serpent's Fang, which I don't even remember if he did or not
If
this
he did,
game.
was
I
late. I
think it
don't think
came
he
in
did.
really late. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
but
little item things I remember CLT mentioning. Grievous was one of them. And then,
Yeah,
yeah, something like a Moonstone would probably be better looking back in hindsight.
yeah,
Um,
I honestly feel like with the Sejuani and the Renekton in the game, I wouldn't have hated the Mikhail's rush either. But again, like so, I think in a lot of standard games, Karma Shurelya's rush is really really good, or at least has a lot of value with how I like to play the lane. But this game, I don't think was it for that, and I definitely should have been a bit more cognizant of that instead of just like blindly building my usual item.
yeah.
yeah, I think we can start looking. I know this is a bit forward, but it wasn't necessarily too explosive in early game.
It's a very long
254.40.
game. I'm sure we'll still find stuff.
We, yeah,
4-4.
I think this is kind of the start of where fights start to break out, late game one, if you will. Etrium getting picked off early around the Otacon. You guys had Kled in the mid lane while all this was happening, in a position to ulti forward. V7 actually TPs away from the Otacon, which was interesting to me. And
Yep.
then pretty much just chaos breaking out
So
as
that
the
little
Fury
Etrium
dives
pick
in.
there. I want to jump in. I think that was kind of my
Yeah,
fault. I'm pretty sure I baited him in by going back and re-engaging. Like, I'm Karma. I can kind of weave in and out, but I didn't communicate what I wanted. And honestly, I don't even know what my goal was there. But all I accomplished was baiting Edrium to walk into like three people in the bush or something, and kind of regret that choice. You mentioned
yeah,
the Vader TPO, which is why we still felt like we could fight this. And I feel like we were so close to getting so many people. They had soaked up a lot of Otacon damage earlier. I think I have to flash over this wall at some point to help somebody out.
yeah. Well, you get the exhaust off on a Fury. That's, big exhaust value coming through. One-handed gaming, ulti's in. By now, V7's back, but Akali is also back, so pretty much even fight. Gets a little
Yeah,
crazy here. Uh, I do believe
Zelda
Team
guy's living
Solid
on like
wins this
two
one out
HPs.
in the
Happened
short
like
term.
three
They get
times
the
this game.
Otacon, but then fight continues. Yeah, Zelda guy barely escaping over the wall. It's so tight. Fight continues in that, the next minute too, there's still action around the dragon that Etrium's able to secure, falls down after. I know CLT touched a little bit on like maybe tank Nunu versus the AP Nunu. Is Etrium just always going to go for the AP?
It's his ideal build, like what he prefers.
Yeah.
I don't think he's fully married to it, but I also we drafted the Nunu, I think expecting it to be a little bit tankier. Or at least that was my impression when I locked it in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know that was just kind of like a point. Obviously, you never know how late these games are going to go, and by this stage of the game, you're definitely wishing it was a tank Nunu, but AP has its strengths. And with the Zanyas anyway, I think it's always going to be plenty playable.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the AP was like part of the reason he was able to like pop the Renekton in the top lane earlier too, which was I think one of the points where we shut down Souls. Um, yeah, no, but like you said, it's definitely his preference. I feel like there was another point that's in my head. Had you asked a different question besides the Nunu, or was it just the one?
Hmm.
I mean, we've gone
Don't.
back and forth
I
on
feel like
so
I'm
many
forgetting
items.
something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine. We can always just move on.
No, I'm not a big fan of the new build here. I mean, if I see that it's Earth Drake and I get the first Earth Drake after they got two Drakes, I'm really wanting to go defensive here just to try and use the stats you're getting from Earth Drake, and it really feels bad when you get the second one. Um, but also I feel like it's the Bash brothers of like Nunu Kled that want to run in and try to create the zone for the backline to operate in. So I was not loving the Nunu build. It did spike in like the early part of the mid game quite well. Like you said, it got a few kills. I think it did end up killing souls in the top lane, but it just doesn't scale into what you need it to be.
Yeah, and definitely at this point in the game, I agree with you. Like, if our front line was able to, like, again, the two issues I think we had the most, aside from me and Bird have talked about how we think the Senate build should have been different. And like both of us are in agreement on that. But like aside from that, I think our two biggest issues were Nefiri not letting us play in the back line, but then our front line also not really being able to play as long as they would like to. So I think Nunu being a little bit more tanky would have definitely helped with that.
Does go third item Spirit Visage, so I think the vision was there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, and this game, I mean, it's again no real like moments. It was just so much back and forth. I think the Ziggs really put a thorn in your guys' side in the late game, just able to rain artillery fire into the back line and remain relatively untouched with Soraka peel. First
Yeah.
death coming in like 40 minutes in, while you guys are all
Well,
busy trying to survive in a Fury dive.
Well, exactly right, and I think again to the point of them controlling vision, it was hard for us I think to find ways for Akali to find a flank. I know that in the mid game she was able to win the 1v1 versus Nefiri, so I was kind of hoping we could like force a bit more of that as well. But it took us a while to be able to like find ways to start targeting the people we needed to target, and I think by that point the game was pretty difficult for us. Like
Yeah, I
Bird
think
said,
the
before
one
I'll
successful
avoid
team
the top
fight you
lane.
guys have, I don't know if this is jumping too far ahead to that like Nexus last stand, but 31140 is where you guys really get a successful team fight off, and I think that's large in part due to just nature of base defense, able to poke out, or really not get poked out by the Ziggs, hold the line, Kroos is able to get an easier dive in onto 7 without the Soraka peel, and
Yeah.
then Bird just hitting really the whole time. This Senna clutched up.
Yeah,
I can't believe he got that kill there. That's insane.
yeah, the start of the fight, getting rid of Squeezy there was pretty massive.
Yeah, I think that like if we were gonna win this game, like Crosus was the hero. Not that he needed to step up more, but like it would have been off the back of the heroics that he was pulling off.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then Elder Steel comes in too. Kept you guys in it. That's just the power of Nunu.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of those things I was talking about. I don't think we needed to have four people sitting over the wall there. We could have just done like I could have just stood there to RE him before he went over. But like that point about like if we can test that like just straight on, I think we probably lose that fight, right? The
Oh yeah.
gold is relatively even, but most of the fights were not going our way. I think that was part of what got us to this point. Um, and so instead of doing the same 5v5 dance that we've been trying to do for most of the game, we just kind of figured, okay, well we've got the Nunu smite. They're letting us they're letting us at least have a bit of setup here and maintain some information, so we can just go for it. I hated that accidental word. Um, so we can just go for the flip, right? Where we lose our jungler either way, but if we lose this elder, we lose it anyway. So this way we've got a good chance of at least stalling out the game.
Yeah, and it worked, obviously. Get the Elder, able to pick up another one or two kind of team fight victories here or there. But pressure just kept dialing in from Team Solid. You have the Zig Siege. Nefiri on the side
Yeah,
lane
and we
still
had
had presence. Souls has still had presence on the side lane. So pretty much sitting in base from like 35 minutes onward, I believe.
yeah, there was that, and then every time we won a fight, we didn't have any waves to work with. So it's like we can push out to mid, excuse me, and buy ourselves like a little bit more breathing room. But it was never like, oh, we can punch back on the map here. And that was I think the most frustrating part of this game was like just because the map had gotten to the state, it felt like we still couldn't get anything from it.
yeah. I just want to point out, you have no turret standing, and you've been in your base for like the past 5 minutes, and one-handed thought Hullbreaker was going to be great.
Did he just buy that then?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I'll have to bring out the paddle for
CLT
next time I see
shopkeeper again.
Hey,
him.
look, there's probably some
Nothing
things.
gets by him.
Yeah, yeah, and I've actually went back and flamed myself for some shopkeeper stuff. But I was just sitting there looking at that during the Baron steal. I was like, I wonder when he bought that. And then I didn't have to go back too far, and I'm like, oh no.
You gotta be careful. All the Runeterra item vendors are gonna be coming after you if you keep telling people not to buy what they're selling.
I, yeah. The problem is though, is I'm gonna get in the sweat league, and then somebody's just gonna flame me on the stream.
Again,
Just
as long as you got a good reason for building what you're building, I don't think there's necessarily always like, yeah, there might be something that's more optimal than the other thing, and like you should be aware of that, especially like the higher you get in terms of skill of play. But as long as you know what you're building for and how to play around it, I do think that that is the most important part.
yeah. I just
But yeah, so Hullbreaker probably not the play here. I can agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, that's Jack Show, Sterix. That's something to kind of increase longevity during a team fight there. Um,
My guess would be that that was probably just like same thing I did with the Shurelya's, where it's you just standardly build it and you just kind of like autopilot to it. Would be my guess.
hmm Yeah, but we got to see the Elder Steel here. They end up going after Baron, and you guys just seem to keep putting up just battles and fights in this game. Um, Even with all three inhibs down, but I think did they pick up this last Elder?
I don't even know if they get Elder before they beat us. Maybe they do.
Oh
I think it was
no, it was
Baron.
a brush cheese here at
Oh, this isn't even. I don't even know how far you are, but yeah, I do
three
remember.
hour 20 minutes.
If it's on the 320, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah,
Oh yeah, that one.
right by the Raptor Pit, right? Yep.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, this fight Just ends up going against you guys, and yeah, once they took out one-handed and Croesus, they could just walk right in and take the victory here.
And
Cled
then
was
we all go
close
go to sleep.
now too. Yeah. Nighty
Yeah,
night.
I remember even as that happened, one hand it was like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't even know why I walked up there." So like he was aware of it. And I know that this series might not have been like the most pretty for some of us. I do want to just clarify that like anything I've said has been
Oh
matter
yeah.
of fact. Not like I'm upset with the team or anything. I think they're all really good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Elder was spawning, like you're gonna have to walk in eventually. The team was
Yeah,
pretty
and if
close
we
by,
don't,
and
then
we
we
saw how close the
destroy that place.
survivability almost was. So yeah, it was
Uh,
one of those things you have to do, and this stage of the game just didn't work out.
well,
And that one actually,
you know what helps you walk into
I do
those?
feel,
Blue trinkets.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's my fault, guys. I should have swapped.
No, not you. I'm looking at two solo laners that you might want to keep that paddle out for.
Yeah. Um, for those just getting to like the near the end of the video now, which I'm assuming you guys are uploading tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of feel a little bad because we spent so much time on this series. Unfortunately, it's the one that I know the most about, and it happened to be the longest as well. So I think that's part of it. But
it's our
I
marquee
wish I had.
series.
It was.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything to apologize for.
No, no,
Well, I don't
there's
know.
nothing.
I wish I had more prep done for the other series so that I could have given a few more
No,
comments on that as well.
it's perfectly fine. We brought you on, and obviously this had not only the most to talk about, but you were part of the series, so we appreciate the insight. And yeah, this series took a little bit long, but I mean, you ended with a 50-minute game and
As we're up
Yeah.
goal too. It was that
Not
long and
beating the
that much time
unable to
invaded.
close out games allegations anymore.
it, yeah, but yeah, I think if we're all good here, I'm you're gonna pull back up the standings, and why still got you here, Pens? What's I mean, you
Do you
kind
want me
of
to give a power ranking before you show them?
I mean, you can give us yours. I'm open to that.
Okay. Um, it's a little bit tough because there's been so much turmoil in the league and back and forth. People losing like to games that like where you'd think initially, oh, they should have won that one. I think I still have Capachungus at the top. I put a lot of respect on, especially their bot lane. I think is really really solid. Um, I would put Misfits very close to that as well. At this point, I have a really hard time deciding between solid Misfits and my own team. I think we've all got a lot of potential that we can bring together. So like if it's a game, I think that my team can beat any team in the league, but I that everybody can say that about their own team too. So I think it's Capachungus. Then I'm probably gonna give it to I'm gonna say Misfits just because Solid has just had a roster change. So I don't know how much that's gonna affect their synergy. I don't know how practiced they are with Trip Hazard, but I'm gonna give it to Misfits. And then just because it's a recent result, like I hate to do this, I don't think it's necessarily like true once we if we get a rematch. But at this point in the season, I'll give it for week 6. I'll give it to Team Solid before my own team. Um, so Solid, then Caster Curse would be 4. After that, I would go probably how many got left? 4 teams, right?
Yep.
And
I would
then
put Bop it there,
Jellyfish, Brain,
Bop it in
MT.
5, then Jellyfish, then
Big Brain.
Big Brain, then MTE. But yeah, I think that like the top 6 or 7 even are all relatively close. I think Big Brain has fallen off a little bit in their past couple of series, but I think they've got the potential to play really well, and I think that like there's a world where they could have done a lot better in some of their series. But But yeah, I still think that there's a lot of room for things to get shuffled around by the time week 7 ends.
Oh yeah. And just for your own reference, if you are sticking around for power rankings, I just DM'd you what CLT and I crafted up. Pretty
All right,
similar
take a
list.
look.
Yeah. Actually, we'll just go ahead and transition over to that. So, you just heard Pens' power rankings, and it's fairly close to ours. maybe just a couple swaps here. But when me and Nexus talked beforehand, we got to give it to Misfits right now. They seem to just beat any team above them, and they look really really strong right now. But I won't.
Yeah, they
I
just cred. I can respect it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I do think like of the top five, six teams, it's any team can beat any other team. But the fact that they took a decisive 2-1. I mean, it was a 2-1, but that game three, they brought everything to Capachungas. So Capachungas will be second. We have Team Solid here at third. I think.
I think it's about time they got a podium finish. They've been doing well for a while.
Yeah, yeah. I do think you bring up a very valid point that we really didn't consider here, but it's very hard to predict with the roster change going with Trip Hazard at mid. But we'll see. You still have Souls in the top lane, and their bot lane is really putting together some quality series here. Um, but then I think the big thing is Bop It versus you guys. I think right now Bop It had a little bit of a slump against Misfits and against Happy Jellyfish, and you guys have stayed competitive. I think the one thing uh, we we talked about and you brought up, which was a very good point, is your all of your losses are 1-2s and all of your wins are 2-0s. So
Yeah,
I
bodes well for us in tiebreaker scenarios.
it does help the tiebreakers. So the Bobbit Caster Curse, I think if you guys play it again, I would probably slightly favor you guys. So I could see either one being there. Um, but then
Yeah,
yes,
I think the point
I
it's
have,
unfair for me to say like one's better than the other. I think it would be a toss up.
yeah, the reason I put order as it is with Bop It 4, Caster Curse 5, I kind of looking now into what's going to happen in the playoff picture. Our matchup next week is going to be Misfits versus Caster Curse. That is going to be kind of the match to watch. It's 3-win team versus 4-win team there. And based off how highly I rate Misfits, I think you guys, in my eyes at least, are going to have an uphill battle. Let that be
I
words to fire you up, because I think that will be the little decider series of the week.
I still have mixed feelings on it. Um, like I think that the standings that you've got are fair. Like I don't think that there's any reason for me to look at this tier list and be like, no, I disagree. I think this is like, especially given what's shown. Bobbit has the win over us too, so I don't hate putting them above us either. Um, I think that with every loss, we've managed to like scrape something together and pull up. Okay, this is what we were doing wrong. We can address this, right? I think, for example, Capachunga's one. I can pick on myself a little bit. I was just not playing respectfully, and up too far forward, especially relative to where Bird was in the lane a lot of the time, and I got punished for it a lot. Their bot lane did really well, so I kind of learned. It's like, okay, I actually have to play um, a less inting playstyle. I got to make sure that my positioning is solid, and I want to make sure that I'm not getting caught out, and we can trust our other lanes to do well as well. I don't have to make the plays happen here if I don't feel like that's gonna be the case, right? There are other things as well that are I think more team oriented, but like every loss that we've had some solid takeaways to bring with it, and I don't think that's going to be an exception this week. So I think that we will come into the Misfits series powered up, and I I think on paper, yeah, it might be uphill,
Disagree.
but I also think that we've got the lanes to contest in every single role. So I am curious to see how it works out.
Oh yeah.
But
No,
I'm
you should
not.
be disagreeing, because this is like I'm basically putting you out of the playoff picture, and you should not be standing for that. That's just what I have down. So I'm happy to hear there's disagreement, and like you said, I'm happy to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'll say that.
I I'm so hyped for it. I think it's set up to be perfect. It's on a Sunday night. You know exactly what you guys need to do based on the results for the rest of the week, and it could potentially be a win and you're in, lose it and you're out for either team. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
for
it
Team
is fair
Solid and
for our team.
Jellyfish too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
team.
Jellyfish has to win to make it in, I think, and so do we.
Yeah, and then if another result goes south, I have a job to do.
I'd imagine those two series, our first two series, Bop It versus Big Brains, should be Bop It favored. Kappa Chungus MTE should be Kappa Chungus favored. I think those last two series are going to be the big ones in terms of what
Look,
our
all I'm
playoff
saying
picture ultimately
is,
looks like.
if MTE is going to pick a series to win, this is it.
That's the
We
one.
have a potential to have 6 teams at 4-3. That'd be
Mm.
so much fun.
No, it wouldn't.
It certainly would. Again, CLT. I'm pretty sure. Battlefly does all the tiebreaker calculations on its own. But if you need some help with that, assuming that I understand them correctly, I think I can help you there.
Yeah, no, I Battlefly is doing all of the heavy lifting when it comes to these tiebreakers. I know uh, we redesigned some of the tiebreaker metrics going into Sweat League next year. It was just too late to just change it because we finalized a lot of stuff in like middle of week 6, early week 7. So
I
I
think the
didn't.
schedule should have a dedicated tiebreaker week next time.
Yes, there that will be in a heavy consideration. Um, yeah, generally we do a week after regular season for like an all-star game slash tiebreaker stuff like that. It was just getting this rec league out, but still giving the next sweat league split time to breathe. Because we didn't want sweat league to go into Christmas or New Year's. I don't know if you guys were part of that. I think it was two splits ago where we basically just skipped 2 weeks, and that wasn't fun. And overall, that's
Cut
when
the
all the
fun
map
out.
changes and everything came in. Was the last week of regular season,
Right.
so that was hell. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think it is definitely something that will be tweaked. I just wanted to get this out, and I felt like if Battlefly's doing all the tiebreakers, to just then come in week 6, week 7, and just say, "Hey, that's not how this works." That was really kind of unfair. And I pride myself for being very communicative to all parties involved. Some would say too communicative. But yeah, that's just what we got to work with right now. So if Battlefly figures it out, I'm all for it. But if they're tied after the 5 metrics that it's going to use, then we'll have to play some games. So
I don't think anyone's gonna be sad about more games. Well,
uh,
except for you.
it, I mean, we would have to squeeze him in, and we'll figure it out from there with the sweat league coming up. But that's for me to take care of. So please don't have tiebreakers.
Yep.
But no, I'm 100% with Nexus, especially on the matchups here. As I got the week 7 matchups now, you got Bob at Twisted versus Big Brain on Mechanics. Big Brains, the last 2 weeks have been without Cosmic Mo, so we'll see if he makes his return here. If not, then Big Brains, I think, have a very steep battle against a probably still pissed off Bop It. They look like they took some frustration out on MTE. So,
Mm.
but Capachungus getting MTE, like you said, if MTE can pull the miracle series to win, this would be the one. But Capachungus, I
I'm
think,
pulling for that,
huh?
and that might be the one circumstance where even if we win, we might not get in. I haven't looked at all the results, but anything that doesn't involve Capachungas losing, I think if we win, we're in. So,
Well, that's interesting. Um,
yeah.
but I mean, it's also a big series for Capachungus because if they win, I think they're guaranteed no less than the second seed.
Right.
Depending what MN Misfits does. Excuse me. And Bop It, actually, because I think both teams have beat
Oh, well, I know what's
Capachungus.
happening in the MMS series. So if
Well,
Capachungas win, they're guaranteed first seed.
oh, okay. Okay, so, Campbell may be your biggest fan here on Sunday. But no, the last two series we talked about Happy Jellyfish G League versus Team Solid. I mean, Happy Jellyfish has been, I'd probably say, one of the more random teams, especially with their support picks. As Nexus is not a fan
Yeah.
of most of them.
I was a little surprised. I don't know whether me like pretending that the cheese picks were free wins for me or not was the reason, or whether he just respected me enough to give me some solid supports. But I was surprised that there was no tomfoolery coming out of the drafts when we played against them. They still put up a pretty good fight, though. I felt like their team fights were no joke.
Yeah. So, but the team solid as noted, going with Trip Hazard at mid. We'll see what they look like going into potentially playoffs, and then you guys get back to back. In my opinion, like series of the weeks. So you guys in Team
I'll take
Solid
it.
week 6, and Team 7 or week 7 you get Misfits and Caster Curse here on a prime time Sunday night.
I will just say keep your eyes peeled. There may be some kind of spicy picks. No promises. I know
Oh,
I had been prepping the Pantheon about a week ago. Uh, been hinting at a Vex support. Who knows? That may or may not be serious. I won't tell.
boy, you want to get
Um,
flamed by me, don't you?
I like getting under your skin.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, probably.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of what we got coming up. New patches out. I'm seeing a lot of Nautilus jungles just run it down in solo queue, so we might see that pop up. And Mel is enabled. So for you guys that made it to this part of the video, all you mid laners, Christmas, Soka, even Seven down in the bot lane, rejoice! Mel is back to being enabled. So the gloves are off for week 7. So, but I'm pretty much good for here. Nexus pins. You got anything to add or send us off with?
No, I'm just thankful you guys got me on and had me talking. I love the sound of my own voice, so I was glad to hear it.
All
No,
right.
but
Great,
seriously,
great to have you.
thanks for hosting. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, love seeing your insight on kind of all things bot lane and how you break down the game. Very respectful way. I think it's very nice to have you on that show. The way you are able to break things down and always able to justify kind of something as long as it have thoughts behind it. That's a great way to break it down. It was a nice time spending the last 2 or so hours talking with you both.
Yeah, I guess it's good to
Almost
be
3.
Oh
sheesh.
boy.
Yeah, 246 so far. So
Midwest Weekly fans eating good this week.
yeah, yeah they are. So, but yeah, for our guest Pens Nexus CLT here, that is Midwest Weekly for week 6, and we'll see you guys for week 7, and hopefully some spice, some tiebreakers maybe, and we'll go over it. So,
For sure.
deuces.